Hello friends. Welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. How are you all? So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku became the Celestial Emperor and get married with the Angel of Time. Also be sure to subscribe and like this video. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. Beyond the Tournament of Gods. The Grand Minister's staff struck the crystalline floor once, its sound reverberating through dimensions beyond mortal comprehension. In the Imperial Nexus, a realm existing outside conventional space-time, 12 hooded figures materialized in a perfect circle. Their forms comprised of light so intense it would have incinerated any mortal observer. At the center stood a 13th figure, his radiance diminishing with each passing moment. "The Celestial Emperor falters," announced the Grand Minister, his childlike appearance belying the ancient power within. "The multiversal constants weaken. A successor must be chosen before collapse becomes inevitable." Emperor Kairos, ruler of all creation for 20 million years, slumped forward on his cosmic throne. Fractures of darkness spread across his luminous form like cracks in a dying star. Each breath released particles of existence itself, dissipating into the void. "The weight becomes unbearable," Kairos whispered, his voice somehow echoing through every corner of reality simultaneously. "The divergence points multiply exponentially. Someone must maintain balance." The eldest council member stepped forward, her silhouette constantly shifting between humanoid and abstract geometric patterns. "We have candidates from 17 universal cycles. Gods of destruction, supreme Kais, celestial champions, all beings of extraordinary capability and divine understanding." Kairos lifted a disintegrating hand. "No, none possess the necessary paradox." "Paradox, Emperor?" questioned another council member, his form composed of intertwining serpentine light strands. "Infinite power, tempered by mortal perspective." Kairos struggled to maintain coherence as portions of his essence separated into drifting motes. "Divine authority, guided by earthly compassion." The Grand Minister's eyes widened with sudden understanding. "You cannot mean the Saiyan," Kairos confirmed, a momentary strengthening in his voice revealing the certainty of his decision. "Son Goku." Outraged murmurs rippled through the council. One member surged forward, her form blazing crimson with indignation. "Impossible. A mortal, a battle-hungry Saiyan, the being who inspired Zeno to erase entire universes for sport." Her voice cut through dimensions like a blade. "This is madness, Kairos." "Not madness, clarity," the dying emperor countered. "I have observed him. Through every battle, every choice, he possesses what we lost ages ago." "And what might that be?" challenged the skeptical council member. Emperor Kairos looked up, momentarily recapturing his fading magnificence. "The capacity to evolve." Goku lay sprawled across the grass, one arm flung over his eyes to block the afternoon sun. 6 months had passed since the Tournament of Power. 6 months of normalcy, training, farming, occasional sparring with Vegeta. The universe-threatening drama had subsided into comfortable routine, and yet he sighed heavily, plucking a blade of grass and twirling it between his fingers. "Something's missing," he muttered to himself, watching clouds drift lazily above Mount Paozu. "Feels like I'm waiting for something, but I don't know what." The tournament had changed him in ways he couldn't articulate. Mastering Ultra Instinct had opened his awareness to something beyond mere fighting, glimpses of a cosmic perspective that Akasi only left him staring into space for hours, much to Chi-Chi's consternation. Speaking of Chi-Chi, he should head home soon. She'd been unusually quiet lately, watching him with an expression he couldn't decipher. Not anger or frustration, emotions he was well acquainted with, but something more contemplative. Goku rolled onto his stomach, pressing his palms against the earth. He closed his eyes, concentrating on the energy flowing through every living thing around him. The grass, the insects, the birds, the trees. He'd always been able to sense ki, but lately, he perceived something deeper, the interconnectedness of all existence. Pulsing like a universal heartbeat. "Still haven't figured it out, have you, Goku?" Goku sprang to his feet, instantly alert. Whirling around, he found himself facing Whis, the angel attendant to Beerus, god of destruction. As always, Whis appeared perfectly composed, staff in hand, a knowing smile playing across his lips. "Figured what out?" Goku asked. relaxing his stance but maintaining his focus. Something about Whis' demeanor seemed different, more formal, almost solemn. Whis tilted his head, studying Goku with ancient eyes. That feeling of incompletion. The sense that you've touched something beyond your understanding. The reason you've been staring at empty space instead of focusing on your training. Goku's eyes widened. How did you? I've witnessed this transition many times before, Whis interrupted, his voice uncharacteristically serious. Though I admit, never in someone quite like you. Before Goku could respond, the air between them shimmered and distorted. Reality itself seemed to fold inward, creating an opening unlike any dimensional portal Goku had encountered before. Through it stepped the Grand Minister, his appearance unchanged but his presence somehow weightier than Goku remembered from the tournament. Son Goku, the Grand Minister addressed him formally. Your presence is requested at the Imperial Nexus. Goku scratched his head, confusion evident. The Imperial what now? Is this another tournament? Because I gotta tell Chi-Chi before. This is not a tournament, the Grand Minister stated, his perpetual smile momentarily fading. This is about the future of all existence. Whis placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. Goku, there are levels of cosmic hierarchy you haven't yet encountered. Lord Zeno, while immensely powerful, is but one component in a much larger design. The Celestial Emperor is dying, the Grand Minister said bluntly. And you have been selected as his successor. Goku blinked several times, processing this information with characteristic simplicity. Emperor, me, but I'm just a fighter. I don't know anything about being an emperor of, whatever you said. That, Whis interjected, is precisely why you were chosen. The Grand Minister extended his hand. You must come now. Time functions differently in the Imperial Nexus, but even so, there is little to spare. Goku looked back toward his home. Hesitation evident. But Chi-Chi will be informed, Whis assured him. This transcends individual attachments, Goku. The stability of all universes hangs in the balance. Something in their tone convinced Goku of the gravity of the situation. He'd saved Earth countless times, even helped save multiple universes during the Tournament of Power. If something threatened existence on an even greater scale. All right, he agreed, squaring his shoulders. But I want to understand exactly what this Emperor thing means before I agree to anything. The Grand Minister nodded once. Of course. Follow me. Goku stepped forward into the dimensional opening, experiencing a sensation unlike any teleportation or dimensional travel he'd known before. Rather than moving through space, he felt reality itself reconfiguring around him, as though the very concept of location was being rewritten. When the disorientation passed, Goku found himself standing in a vast chamber that defied conventional architecture. The floor beneath him appeared to be made of crystalline material that shifted colors with each step. The walls, if they could be called walls, extended upward indefinitely, occasionally flickering to reveal glimpses of different universes, different timelines, different realities. In the center of the chamber stood a massive throne that seemed to be constructed from condensed starlight. Upon it sat a being whose form constantly shifted between various states of matter and energy. Even in his obviously weakened state, Emperor Kairos exuded such cosmic power that Goku instinctively accessed Ultra Instinct in response. Around the throne, 12 hooded council members watched in silence, their judgment palpable even through their concealment. Approach, Son Goku, commanded Emperor Kairos, his voice simultaneously thunderous and gossamer thin. Goku moved forward, maintaining the calm alertness of Ultra Instinct. As he neared the throne, he began to perceive the Emperor's true condition, not just weakened but actively disintegrating. Particles of divine essence separated from his form with each labored breath. Do you understand why you are here? Kairos asked directly. Not really, Goku answered honestly. They said something about me becoming an emperor, but I'm just a martial artist from Earth. A sound like distant wind chimes might have been Kairos's laughter. Just as I expected. Refreshingly direct. He gestured weakly. I am the Celestial Emperor. My existence maintains multiversal stability, constrains dangerous forces, prevents cosmic collapse. Goku nodded slowly, like a god of destruction, but bigger. A simplified, but not inaccurate comparison, Kairos confirmed. Gods of destruction maintain balance within individual universes. I maintain balance. Between universes, between dimensions, between realities. And you want me to take over that job? Goku questioned, beginning to grasp the magnitude of what was being proposed. Why me? There must be beings out there with more experience with this kind of thing. Experience breeds complacency, Kairos explained, his form momentarily stabilizing through obvious effort. Divine perspective creates detachment. You possess extraordinary power without divine detachment. You understand the value of single lives. Despite witnessing universal scales, one council member stepped forward angrily. This is absurd, Kairos. This mortal doesn't even comprehend what you're offering. The position of Celestial Emperor isn't merely an honor, it's a fundamental cosmic necessity. I understand more than you think, Goku replied calmly, Ultra Instinct keeping his emotions controlled yet accessible. Your Ying all of existence needs someone to maintain its balance, and that someone is supposed to be me. He turned back to Kairos. What happens if I say no? The dying Emperor's form flickered dangerously. Multiversal constants degrade. Dimensional boundaries collapse. Timeline integrity fails. All existence returns to void. So everyone dies, Goku translated bluntly. Worse, corrected the Grand Minister. Everyone never exists. Retroactive non-existence across all timelines. Goku frowned, processing this information. If I accept, what happens to my life on Earth? My family, my friends. A new voice entered the conversation, melodic, authoritative, with an undercurrent of something ancient. You would transcend conventional existence, ascending to a state beyond mortality while retaining your essential nature. Quote, Goku turned to face the speaker and momentarily lost his Ultra Instinct focus. Standing at the edge of the council circle was a woman unlike any being he had encountered before. Her skin held an opalescent quality that shifted with subtle rainbow hues. Her hair, if it could be called hair, resembled flowing liquid silver that defied gravity, moving as though underwater. Her eyes contained spiral galaxies, literally, swirling cosmic patterns that somehow expressed emotion despite their inhuman nature. She approached with a grace that suggested she wasn't merely moving through space but harmonizing with it. I am Chronoa, Angel of Time, Keeper of the Temporal Nexus. I would be your primary advisor and assistant in maintaining multiversal continuity. You're an angel? Goku asked, his characteristic directness returning. You don't look like Whis or the Grand Minister. Chronoa's lips curved into a smile that somehow conveyed both amusement and respect. They are angel attendants, guides and observers for gods of destruction. My existence predates their creation. I monitor and maintain the infinite timelines across all 12 universes, and those that existed before. There were universes before the current 12? Goku asked, momentarily distracted by this new information. Focus, Saiyan, snapped one council member irritably. The cosmos unravels while you ask irrelevant questions. Kairos raised a disintegrating hand for silence. His questions reveal his suitability. He seeks to understand, not merely accept. The Emperor turned his fading gaze to Goku. You must decide, quickly. My ability to maintain cohesion fades rapidly. Goku looked around the chamber, taking in the council members, the Grand Minister, Chronoa, and the dying Emperor. The weight of the decision pressed upon him, not just the fate of Earth or Universe 7, but all of existence across infinite timelines. If I become this Emperor, he began carefully, will I still be me? Will I remember my friends, my family? Will I still be able to fight and train and eat good food? A ripple of indignation passed through several council members at what they perceived as trivializing the cosmic position, but Chronoa stepped closer, her galaxy eyes studying him with intensity. You will remain yourself, Son Goku, she assured him. The CE of Celestial Emperor enhances and expands your existing nature rather than replacing it. Your memories, your values, your essential being, these remain intact, though your perspective will broaden considerably. And my family, Goku pressed. Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten. They would continue their lives, Chronoa explained gently. You could observe them, even visit briefly during certain cosmic alignments. But your primary existence would transcend conventional reality. Goku nodded slowly, processing this information. He turned back to Emperor Kairos, whose form was now disintegrating more rapidly. Fractures of darkness spreading through his luminous essence. I have one more question, Goku said, addressing the dying emperor directly. Why did you choose this job in the first place? The question seemed to surprise everyone present, except Kairos himself, whose deteriorating features formed what might have been a smile. To protect what I loved, he answered simply. As you have always done. Something in those words resonated with Goku on a fundamental level. Throughout his life, from childhood to adulthood, his growth as a warrior had always been driven by the desire to protect Earth, his friends, his family, even strangers across multiple universes during the Tournament of Power. All right, Goku decided, squaring his shoulders. I accept. The relief from Emperor Kairos manifested as a visible pulse of light that temporarily stabilized his disintegrating form. Prepare the Ascension Chamber, he commanded with renewed strength. The transition must begin immediately. The Grand Minister struck his staff against the crystalline floor 3 times. In response, the entire chamber reconfigured itself, walls folding inward to create a smaller, more focused space. The 12 council members moved to equidistant positions around the perimeter, their hooded forms becoming more distinct, more physically present. Before we proceed, Chronoa interjected, stepping to Goku's side. There is one matter that must be addressed. She turned to the Grand Minister. His earthly attachments must be properly severed, or the ascension will be incomplete. The Grand Minister nodded once in acknowledgement. I shall arrange it. Goku's brow furrowed with concern. What does that mean? You're not gonna hurt Chi-Chi or? Nothing so crude, Chronoa assured him, her galaxy eyes softening. But for ascension to succeed, you must be formally released from your mortal commitments. Your wife must willingly dissolve your earthly union. Chi-Chi would never, Goku began, but stopped when a section of reality before him rippled and folded outward. Through this dimensional window, he could see the interior of his modest home on Mount Paozu. Chi-Chi sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of tea, deep in thought. Across from her sat Whis, apparently in the middle of a serious conversation. Understand what you're asking, Chi-Chi was saying, her voice carrying a resigned tone Goku had never heard before. But I've seen this coming for months now, haven't I? Ever since he came back from that tournament. Whis nodded gently. You have remarkable perception for a mortal, Chi-Chi. Yes, the Tournament of Power accelerated his cosmic awakening, though the potential has been within him since birth. Chi-Chi stared into her tea, a complex mixture of emotions playing across her face. He's been different, distracted. Sometimes I catch him staring at nothing, like he's seeing things the rest of us can't. She looked up at Whis with sudden intensity. Will he be happy as this Emperor? The question caught Goku by surprise. Not anger or accusation, but genuine concern for his happiness. Happiness as mortals understand it will be transformed. Whis explained carefully, but the essence of what makes Son Goku who he is, his joy in existence, his appreciation for life in all forms, his endless capacity for growth, these will not only remain but flourish beyond current limitation. Chi-Chi nodded slowly, wiping away a single tear. Then I release him, she said with quiet dignity. Our marriage served its purpose. We raised 2 wonderful sons. We shared a life together. But I've always known, deep down, that Goku belonged to something greater than just our family. She took a deep breath, formally declaring, I, Chi-Chi, daughter of the Ox King, willingly dissolve my marriage to Son Goku, freeing him to fulfill his cosmic destiny without earthly constraint. The simple ceremony complete, Chi-Chi looked dire. CTLY toward the dimensional window, somehow sensing Goku's presence despite the barrier between realities. Be happy, Goku, she said softly. And when you can, look in on the boys from time to time. The dimensional window closed, leaving Goku momentarily speechless. The interaction had revealed depths to Chi-Chi he hadn't fully appreciated during their years together, a wisdom and selflessness that humbled him. She is an extraordinary woman, Chronoa observed quietly. Yeah, Goku agreed, a new respect in his voice. She really is. Emperor Kairos's deteriorating form emanated approval. The severance is complete. We may proceed. He extended a disintegrating hand toward Goku. Approach, successor. Goku stepped forward, guided by instinct rather than instruction. As he neared the throne, Kyrus's form began to release waves of cosmic energy that washed over him like warm water. The ascension requires conscious acceptance of each cosmic principle, Kyrus explained, his voice growing fainter. Chronoa will guide you. The Angel of Time moved to stand beside Goku, her presence grounding despite the overwhelming energies swirling through the chamber. You must acknowledge and internalize 12 fundamental principles, she explained, her melodic voice providing focus amidst the chaos of energies. Each principle, once accepted, will transform an aspect of your being from mortal to celestial. Goku nodded, centering himself in Ultra Instinct's perfect awareness. I'm ready. Chronoa raised her hand, and reality seemed to shift around them. Suddenly, they stood in what appeared to be limitless space, stars stretching infinitely in all directions. First principle. Omnipresence, Chronoa intoned formally. The Celestial Emperor exists simultaneously across all dimensions, all universes, all timelines. Your consciousness must expand beyond singular location. Before Goku could question how to achieve this, Emperor Kyrus's fading energy enveloped him. Suddenly, his awareness exploded outward like a supernova. He could perceive, could feel, every corner of Universe 7 simultaneously. Every planet, every star, every living being. Then Universe 6. Then all 12 universes at once. The sensation was overwhelming, his consciousness stretched to breaking point. Don't resist, Chronoa advised, her voice somehow reaching him through the chaos. Don't try to focus on everything at once. Accept the awareness without attempting to control it. Goku followed her guidance, allowing the omnipresent perception to wash through him without fighting to understand or contain it. Gradually, the overwhelming chaos resolved into a manageable background awareness, like sensing ki across an entire planet, but on a universal scale. I think I've got it, he managed, his voice sounding strange to his own ears, as though speaking from multiple locations simultaneously. First principle accepted, announced the Grand Minister. The cosmic setting shifted again. Now they stood in what appeared to be a massive library, stretching beyond perception in all directions. Books, scrolls, crystalline data structures, and recording media Goku couldn't identify filled endless shelves. Second principle. Omniscience, Chronoa continued. The Celestial Emperor must access the complete knowledge of existence to make informed decisions. Again, Kyrus's energy flowed into him, and Goku's mind exploded with information. Billions of years of cosmic history, trillions of individual lives, countless scientific principles and magical systems from across all universes. The information threatened to overwhelm his consciousness entirely. Don't attempt to memorize or categorize, Chronoa instructed calmly. Your mind is becoming a conduit for knowledge, not a container. Information will be accessible when needed, not constantly present. Goku adjusted his approach, letting the knowledge flow through him rather than trying to capture it. The overwhelming torrent became a manageable current, accessible without being crushing. Second principle accepted, the Grand Minister confirmed. The pattern continued through all 12 principles, each transformation more profound than the last. Third principle. Multidimensional perception. Fourth principle. Temporal omnipresence. Fifth principle. Cosmic authority. Sixth principle. Universal compassion. Seventh principle. Divine judgment. Eighth principle. Creative force. Ninth principle. Destructive necessity. 10th principle. Balance maintenance. 11th principle. Dimensional integrity. 12th principle. Sovereign independence. With each principle, Goku's being transformed further from mortal to divine, his consciousness expanding beyond anything he had previously imagined possible. Yet somehow, through Chronoa's guidance and his own indomitable spirit, he maintained his essential self, his values, his memories, his fundamental nature. As the 12th principle settled into his transformed being, the cosmic chamber reformed around them. The 12 council members lowered their hoods, revealing their true forms, entities of pure cosmic energy whose appearances constantly shifted between various conceptual states. Emperor Kyrus, now barely maintaining coherence, rose shakily from his throne. The principles are accepted. The transformation is complete. What remains is the transfer of authority. The dying emperor extended what remained of his hands toward Goku, who instinctively reached out in return. As their fingers touched, Iroh's entire being collapsed inward like a dying star, transforming into a sphere of concentrated cosmic energy. The sphere hovered momentarily between them before flowing into Goku's chest. The sensation defied description, not painful, not pleasurable, but transformative on the deepest possible level. Every atom of his being reconfigured, every aspect of his consciousness expanded exponentially. When the transfer completed, Goku stood transformed. His appearance remained recognizably him, but now his form radiated subtle cosmic energy. His traditional orange gi had transformed into flowing garments of material that seemed woven from condensed starlight. His hair, still in its characteristic spiky style, now contained faint galaxy patterns visible when he moved. His eyes held the same warmth and determination, but now contained depths that reflected his expanded awareness. Chronoa stepped forward, her galaxy eyes meeting his with newfound respect. The ascension is complete. How do you feel, Emperor Goku? Goku examined his transformed hands, feeling the cosmic energy flowing through his veins. Different, he answered honestly. Bigger, somehow, like I've been seeing everything through a keyhole before. And now the door's wide open. He flexed his newfound awareness, sensing the cosmic constants he was now responsible for maintaining. The weight of responsibility settled upon him, not crushing, as he had feared, but meaningful, purpose-giving. There will be much to learn, Chronoa advised, gesturing toward the throne that now awaited him. The practical applications of your authority, the nuances of multiversal politics, the techniques for maintaining dimensional stability. And you'll help me? Goku asked, studying her with new perception. Through his enhanced senses, he could see layers to Chronoa's existence he hadn't perceived before, her ancient nature, her fundamental connection to time itself, her isolated existence as guardian of all temporal streams. That is my purpose, she confirmed with a formal nod, though something in her galaxy eyes suggested she might come to find more meaning in the role than mere duty. Goku approached the throne cautiously, feeling its resonance with his newly transformed being. As he sat upon it, the crystalline material beneath them hummed with harmonious energy. The imperial nexus itself seemed to respond to his presence. Dimensional frameworks stabilizing throughout the chamber. The Grand Minister struck his staff against the floor once more, its sound echoing through all realities. The transition is complete. Kairos has passed. Goku ascends. The Celestial Emperor reigns anew. The council members bowed formally, acknowledging their new sovereign despite the reservations some clearly still harbored. Your first task, Chronoa informed him, taking her position at his right hand, will be to address the dimensional instabilities that have proliferated during the transition period. What kind of instabilities? Goku asked, already extending his cosmic senses to survey the multiverse. Temporal fractures in Universe 3, spatial anomalies near the boundary between Universes 6 and 7, conceptual corruption beginning in Universe 10. She listed efficiently. Most concerning are the anomalies in Universe 2, which appear deliberate rather than natural deterioration. Goku's eyes narrowed at this last observation. Deliberate? You mean someone's damaging the universe on purpose? It appears so, Chronoa confirmed, her expression grave. These disruptions bear signatures inconsistent with natural cosmic phenomena. Someone with considerable power is systematically targeting key junction points in the space-time continuum. Show me, Goku requested, his warrior instincts immediately engaged. Chronoa waved her hand, creating a dimensional viewport that displayed the affected regions of Universe 2. Even with his limited experience, Goku could perceive the unnatural patterns in the cosmic disruptions, too precise. Too strategically placed to be accidental. This doesn't make sense, he observed, studying the pattern. Why would anyone want to damage the universe itself? That, responded the Grand Minister soberly, is the question that has troubled the Celestial Council for the past century. These disruptions began appearing shortly before Emperor Kairos began deteriorating. Too coordinated to be coincidental, yet too subtle to trace to their source. One of the council members stepped forward, a being whose form resembled crystalline structures in constant rearrangement. We have theories, Emperor Goku. Some believe these are the actions of entities from previous universal cycles, seeking to destabilize the current multiverse. Others suspect corruption within the divine hierarchy itself. Deliberate sabotage, Goku translated, his expression hardening. Someone's trying to break the multiverse. But why? Power, suggested another council member, her foe. A swirling vortex of celestial energy. Chaos creates opportunities for those seeking to reshape cosmic laws to their advantage. Revenge, offered a third, his appearance constantly shifting between various elemental states. There are beings who believe the current universal order is fundamentally flawed, that it replaced superior previous cycles. Goku absorbed these possibilities, his enhanced mind processing the implications with newfound clarity. So my first job as Emperor is to find who's behind this and stop them. While simultaneously maintaining multiversal stability, adjudicating divine disputes, and learning to control your expanded capabilities, Chronoa added, though there was a hint of encouragement beneath her matter-of-fact tone. But yes, identifying the source of these disruptions is now your highest priority. Goku rose from the throne, cosmic energy swirling around him in response to his resolve. Then let's get started. I want to see these disruptions up close. A direct investigation. The Grand Minister seemed surprised. Emperor Kairos typically observed from the Imperial Nexus, sending agents to. I'm not Kairos, Goku interrupted firmly. I understand things better when I can see them with my own eyes, touch them with my own hands. If someone's threatening the multiverse, I need to understand exactly what we're up against. A ripple of murmurs passed through the council members, some approving, others concerned by this unprecedented approach. Chronoa studied him for a moment before nodding decisively. I will accompany you, Emperor. My temporal abilities may prove useful in analyzing the disruptions. Just call me Goku, he requested, uncomfortable with the formal title. At least when it's just us. A subtle smile curved Chronoa's lips. As you wish, Goku. The Grand Minister struck his staff against the floor once more. The council acknowledges Emperor Goku's first executive decision. Investigation of the Dimensiona. Disruptions will proceed under his direct supervision, with the Angel of Time as advisor and assistant. As the council members began to disperse, returning to their respective oversight domains, Goku turned to Chronoa with determination in his eyes. Before we go, he said, there's something I need to do first. Son Gohan was grading papers in his study when reality rippled beside his desk. Looking up in surprise, he found himself staring at his father, yet not quite his father as he had known him. Goku's appearance had subtly changed, an otherworldly quality now emanating from his familiar form. Dad, Gohan stood, papers forgotten. What happened to you? Your energy feels different. Enormous but contained somehow. Goku smiled, the expression reassuringly familiar despite his transformed state. It's complicated, son. I don't have much time right now, but I couldn't leave without explaining things to you and your brother. Explaining what? Gohan asked, studying his father with scholarly intensity. This isn't like when you left with Shenron, is it? Another long absence. Longer, Goku admitted. And different. I've become something called the Celestial Emperor. It's like being a Kai. But for all universes at once. Gohan's eyes widened as he processed this information. That's incredible. But why you? That's what I asked. Goku laughed, the sound unchanged despite his transformation. Apparently they needed someone who understands fighting and protecting, not just cosmic rules. A complicated mixture of emotions crossed Gohan's face, pride, confusion, concern, and a resignation that suggested he'd always somehow known his father was destined for something beyond ordinary existence. Mom, he asked simply. She knows, Goku assured him. She released me from our marriage so I could accept this role. She understood before I did, I think. Gohan nodded slowly. She's been watching you closely these past months. Said you were looking beyond more often. Goku moved forward, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. The contact transmitted a fraction of his expanded awareness, enough for Gohan to glimpse, momentarily, the VA. Saint cosmic perspective his father now possessed. I'm proud of you, Gohan, Goku said with uncharacteristic solemnity. Of the scholar you've become, the father, the husband. You found your own path, your own kind of strength. Gohan swallowed hard, recognizing the farewell within the praise. Will we ever see you again? Sometimes, Goku promised. There are moments when the dimensional boundaries thin. I'll look in on you. On Pan as she grows. And someday, when you're much older, I'll come to guide you to whatever comes next. The implications of this statement, that Goku now existed beyond conventional mortality, settled between them, profound yet somehow comforting. What about Goten? Gohan asked. Should I try to explain this to him? No need, Goku assured him. I'm visiting him next. Then Vegeta. That conversation might be the toughest, he added with a wry smile. The air around Goku began to shimmer as cosmic forces called him back to his duties. I have to go. There's something threatening the multiverse. And I need to figure out what it is. Of course there is, Gohan said with a small laugh. Some things never change, do they? Even as Celestial Emperor, you're still rushing off to fight the next big threat. Goku's expression turned serious. That's why they chose me, I think. Because protecting people is what I've always done best. He began to fade from conventional reality, his form becoming translucent. Take care of your mother for me. And Pan. And Vital. Live well, Gohan. I will, Gohan promised, raising his hand in farewell. Good luck, Dad. Or should I say, Emperor. Goku's laughter echoed as he disappeared entirely. Just Dad is fine. Dash dash dash. In the Imperial Nexus, Chrono awaited patiently as Goku completed his farewells. She understood the importance of these connections. They formed the foundation of what made him uniquely qualified for his new role. When he finally returned, his expression reflected both sadness at what he was leaving behind and determination regarding what lay ahead. Ready? She asked simply. Goku nodded, his gaze shifting to the dimensional viewport still displaying the disruptions in Universe 2. Yeah, let's find out who's trying to break the multiverse. As they prepared to depart, neither noticed the hooded figure observing from the shadows of the Imperial Nexus, a 13th Council member whose presence had gone unremarked during the Ascension ceremony. Beneath the hood, ancient eyes narrowed with calculation. So the new Emperor chooses direct intervention, the figure whispered to itself. Interesting. Perhaps this Saiyan will prove more problematic than anticipated. The figure dissolved into particles of dark energy, vanishing from the Nexus without a trace. Throughout the multiverse, in precisely calculated locations, additional disruptions began to form, each bearing the same unnatural signature as those Goku and Chrono prepared to investigate. The cosmic game had entered a new phase. The pieces were in motion, and the newly ascended Celestial Emperor faced his first true test, a conspiracy that had been unfolding since before his transformation, before the Tournament of Power. Perhaps before his very existence. A conspiracy that threatened not just one universe or 12, but the fundamental nature of reality itself. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Keeper of Infinite Time. Purple lightning forked across the obsidian sky of Universe 2's 7th quadrant. Below, on what remained of the once thriving planet Luminia, Goku crouched to examine the decaying soil. 6 months into his reign as Celestial Emperor, and the situation had only worsened. This wasn't a natural dissolution, he muttered, rubbing the disintegrating earth between his fingers. Particles glimmered momentarily before vanishing, not merely breaking down, but retroactively ceasing to exist. The phenomenon had accelerated exponentially since his ascension. Entire solar systems now displayed T symptoms. Time flowing backward and forward simultaneously, matter phasing between states of existence, living beings experiencing their past and future simultaneously until their minds shattered. Behind him, Chrono waved her slender hands through the air, leaving trails of silver-blue light that formed complex patterns. Her eyes, swirling galaxies contained within immortal orbs, narrowed with concentration. Another fracture point, she confirmed, her voice melodic even in concern. This makes 17 in Universe 2 alone. The pattern is becoming unmistakable. Goku straightened, cosmic energy rippling subtly beneath his skin. After half a year, he'd grown more comfortable with his transformed state, though certain aspects still felt foreign, the constant awareness of multiversal events. The weight of countless lives depending on his decisions, the strange formality with which most beings now addressed him. Someone's targeting the connection points between dimensions, he observed. Having learned to interpret the temporal signatures Chrono identified. But they're being sneaky about it, making each one look like a different kind of accident. Chronoa's silver hair flowed as though underwater, defying the harsh wind that whipped across the dying landscape. Your perception has improved remarkably, she noted with approval. It took Kairos millennia to develop such intuitive understanding of multiversal mechanics. Goku shrugged, uncomfortable with praise of his cosmic abilities. Despite his new title, he still thought of himself primarily as a martial artist. I just recognize the pattern. It's like fighting. You start to see how your opponent thinks through their attacks. And our opponent thinks methodically, Chronoa added, her expression troubled. These fractures are precisely calibrated to cause maximum damage while remaining individually dismissible as natural phenomena. A shimmer in reality announced the arrival of the Grand Minister, materializing beside them with perfect composure. Emperor, he greeted Goku formally. The Council awaits your assessment. Goku suppressed a grimace. The Celestial Council, 12 ancient beings who served as advisors to the Emperor, remained a source of frustration. Their meetings dragged on endlessly, filled with protocol and philosophical debate while real threats demanded action. Tell them I'm still investigating, Goku replied. Deliberately casual, I'll report when I have something concrete. The Grand Minister's perpetual smile tightened almost imperceptibly. With respect, Emperor, the Count C.L. has convened specifically to address the temporal anomalies. Your presence is expected. Translation. Non-negotiable, Chronoa murmured with the barest hint of amusement. Goku sighed, gazing once more at the disintegrating planet. During his first months as Emperor, he'd attempted to avoid council meetings whenever possible, preferring direct action to endless discussion. The resulting frustration had created an administrative backlog that even Chronoa struggled to manage. Fine, he conceded reluctantly. But I want it on record that we should be tracking down the source of these disruptions, not talking them to death. As the Grand Minister opened a dimensional passage to the Imperial Nexus, Goku cast a final glance at the dying world. Another failure to prevent suffering. Another reminder of how much he still had to learn about his role. Chronoa stepped to his side, her galaxy eyes somehow both ancient and compassionate. Goku, she said quietly, using his name rather than his title, something she did only in private moments. You cannot save every world personally. The Emperor's role is to maintain the larger balance. I know, he responded, frustration evident in his voice. But sometimes the larger balance feels too abstract. These were real people, with real lives. Which is precisely why you were chosen, she reminded him gently. Because you never forget Hat cosmic forces affect individual lives. The observation, though meant as encouragement, only deepened Goku's sense of inadequacy as they stepped through the dimensional passage. 6 months, and he still felt like an imposter wearing borrowed authority. The Imperial Nexus had reconfigured itself to accommodate the full council, 12 massive crystalline seats arranged in a circle around the Emperor's throne. Each seat glowed with energy that reflected its occupant's cosmic nature: swirling fire, living shadow, geometric precision, liquid radiance, and other manifestations beyond conventional description. As Goku entered, conversations immediately ceased. The council members rose, some promptly, others with deliberate slowness that bordered on disrespect. The Emperor honors us with his presence, announced Councillor Eon, the eldest member, whose form constantly shifted between different manifestations of time itself. Sorry to keep you waiting, Goku replied with intentional informality, having learned that excessive protocol only encouraged the council's worst tendencies. He settled onto the throne, which hummed in response to his cosmic signature. I was examining the Luminian collapse firsthand. Another temporal fracture, inquired Councillor Nexus, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. The 17th in Universe 2, Chronoa confirmed, taking her position beside the throne. All bearing the same underlying signature despite their superficial differences. Councillor Void, a being composed of swirling darkness contained within a humanoid outline, leaned forward with evident skepticism. And you maintain these fractures are deliberate rather than symptomatic of Emperor Kairos' passing? I do, Chronoa stated firmly. These disruptions began before Kairos' deterioration accelerated. Furthermore, they demonstrate purpose. Each targets a specific dimensional junction point, weakening the boundaries between universes in a non-random pattern. Murmurs passed through the council at this assertion. Goku observed their reactions carefully, having learned that council politics often revealed more through unspoken responses than formal statements. If Chronoa is correct, ventured Counselor Lumina, a being of pure radiant light, then we face an adversary with comprehensive understanding of cosmic architecture and the power to manipulate it. Few entities possess such capabilities. Perhaps, suggested Counselor Void with careful neutrality, we should consider the possibility that these disruptions originate from within the divine hierarchy itself. The implication hung heavy in the air, that someone among the gods of destruction, the Supreme Kais, or even the Celestial Council might be responsible. You suggest treason, demanded Counselor Tempest, an entity whose form resembled clockwork mechanisms in constant motion. I suggest thoroughness, Void countered smoothly. If we automatically exclude possibilities due to political sensitivity, we hobble our investigation before it begins. Goku had remained silent, allowing the discussion to unfold while he observed the council members' interactions. Over the past 6 months, he'd learned that direct intervention in these debates rarely yielded results. Better to let positions emerge naturally before steering toward action. Enough speculation, he finally interrupted, his voice carrying the subtle harmonic resonance that came with his imperial authority. We need facts, not theories. I've authorized Chronoa to conduct comprehensive temporal scans of all affected areas. The data shows consistent patterns despite the varied manifestations. With a gesture from Chronoa, a multidimensional model materialized above the center of the council sham. A complex web of light points representing dimensional junctions across all 12 universes. Red pulsing nodes mark the locations of confirmed disruptions. When mapped across all dimensional layers, Chronoa explained, the pattern becomes evident. These aren't random failures, they're systematic attacks on key structural points in the multiverse's architecture. The council members study the model with varying degrees of comprehension. Some, like Eon and Nexus, immediately grasped the implications. Others appeared confused by the technical presentation. The disruptions are most concentrated in Universe 2. Goku continued, rising from his throne to indicate specific clusters within the model. But we've confirmed similar anomalies beginning in Universes 6, 7, and 10. If the pattern holds, we can predict where the next attacks will occur. Attacks? Questioned Counselor Entropy, his form a constantly decaying and regenerating mass. That presupposes intent rather than natural entropy. Look at the pattern, Goku insisted, patience thinning. 6 months of these semantic debates had worn his tolerance for philosophical hairsplitting. These aren't random, they're targeted. Someone's trying to collapse the boundaries between universes. To what end? Asked Counselor Genesis, her form resembling crystallized creation energy. Universal boundaries were established at the dawn of the current cycle for good reason. Their collapse would result in multiversal chaos. Exactly, Goku agreed grimly. Chaos, which some beings might prefer to order. Before the discussion could continue, a dimensional disturbance rippled through the nexus, not the controlled opening of a formal arrival, but a forceful intrusion. The council members rose in alarm as reality itself seemed to tear open at the chamber's periphery. Through this ragged opening stepped a woman unlike any Goku had encountered during his cosmic tenure. Tall and powerfully built, her skin shimmered with a metallic luster that suggested both biological and mechanical properties. Armor that appeared forged from neutron star material covered her torso and limbs, inscribed with glowing runes in a langu. Age even Goku's enhanced perception couldn't decipher. A crimson cape flowed from her shoulders, defying physics to move like liquid flame. Most striking was her face, angular, regal, with eyes that RNED like white dwarfs and hair resembling silver fire. 2 massive weapons hung at her sides, a sword whose blade appeared composed of frozen lightning, and a hammer that seemed to contain a collapsed star at its core. The council chamber's security protocols activated instantly, reality warping barriers materializing to contain the intruder. She regarded these with contempt, casually tapping her hammer against the nearest barrier. It shattered like glass. I come under the ancient right of challenge, she announced, her voice resonating with power that matched Goku's own imperial timbre. I am Valkyrian, last of the cosmic Valkyries, guardian of universal honor. I demand audience with the one who falsely claims the imperial throne. The Grand Minister appeared instantly beside Goku, his expression grave. Emperor, this is unprecedented. The right of challenge hasn't been invoked for 7 million years. What exactly is this right of challenge? Goku asked quietly, studying the impressive warrior before them. A provision from the earliest days of the celestial hierarchy, Chronoa explained, her galaxy eyes fixed on Valkyrian with wary respect. Any being of sufficient SMIC standing may formally question the legitimacy of a new emperor. It's largely ceremonial, or was, until now. Goku nodded, understanding. He stepped forward, cosmic energy flowing visibly beneath his skin. I'm Goku, the current celestial emperor. There's no need for breaking barriers. If you want to talk, just ask. Valkyrian's expression registered momentary surprise at his direct approach, quickly replaced by stern disapproval. Talk. I come to challenge your right to rule all existence, and you offer conversation like a commoner. That's pretty much who I am, Goku replied with characteristic honesty. I was a farmer and martial artist 6 months ago. I'm still getting used to the emperor part. This admission clearly displeased the Valkyrie. Her eyes narrowed dangerously. Cosm. I see power radiating from her form in palpable waves. This confirms my worst fears. A mortal, elevated beyond his understanding, holding authority he cannot comprehend. Counselor Eon moved forward cautiously. Valkyrian. The succession was conducted according to all cosmic law. Emperor Kairos himself selected this successor. Kairos was failing, Valkyrian countered dismissively. His judgment compromised by deterioration. The celestial emperor must embody the highest cosmic principles, wisdom accumulated over eons, perspective transcending mortal limitation, power tempered by divine understanding. Her gaze fixed accusingly on Goku. This Saiyan possesses none of these qualities. Goku might have taken offense 6 months earlier, but his time as emperor had taught him to recognize when criticism contained valid points. You're right about some of that, he acknowledged. I don't have millions of years of experience. I wasn't born divine, but Kairos chose me anyway, and I'm doing my best to learn quickly. Doing your best, Valkyrian repeated incredulously. The multiverse stands on the brink of collapse, dimensional fractures multiply exponentially, and the celestial emperor speaks of doing his best, like a schoolchild explaining a failed assignment. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, their cosmic forms flickering with agitation. Goku realized Valkyrian had verbalized doubts that many harbored but had been unwilling to express directly. The cosmic Valkyries were legendary enforcers of universal law, Chronoa observed, stepping beside Goku. W.E. believed your order extinct after the 4th universal reconfiguration. Nearly so, Valkyrian confirmed grimly. I am the last. For millennia, I have observed from the periphery, intervening only when absolutely necessary. But this, she gestured toward Goku, this crosses the threshold of acceptable risk. What exactly are you challenging? Goku asked directly. My right to be emperor. Or my approach to the job? Both. Valkyrian answered without hesitation. You lack the fundamental qualities required of a celestial emperor. Your elevation threatens multiversal stability at a time when it already faces unprecedented threats. The Grand Minister cleared his throat delicately. Under cosmic law, a formal challenge requires specific grounds and proposed resolution. What exactly do you suggest, Valkyrian? The Valkyrie straightened, her armor gleaming with internal light. I challenge Son Goku's fitness to serve as celestial emperor on grounds of insufficient cosmic understanding, inadequate divine perspective, and fundamental unsuitability for multiversal governance. She drew her lightning blade with ceremonial precision. I propose trial by cosmic combat. If this and truly possesses the qualities required of an emperor, let him prove it through direct confrontation with one who upholds the ancient standards. Murmurs erupted among the council members. Goku, however, remained calm. Combat challenges, at least, were familiar territory. Combat proves strength, he noted, but you just said being emperor requires wisdom and perspective. How would fighting show those qualities? Valkyrian blinked, apparently surprised by the logical question from someone she dismissed as unworthy. Cosmic combat isn't mere physical struggle, she explained with reluctant respect. It tests the totality of one's being, physical power, mental discipline, spiritual awareness, moral judgment. Chronoa stepped forward, her expression concerned. Emperor, you should know that cosmic combat has existential consequences. Victory or defeat affects more than participants. It ripples through reality itself, potentially accelerating the very dimensional fractures we seek to repair. Goku absorbed this information thoughtfully. 6 months ago, he might have accepted the challenge immediately, eager to test himself against a powerful opponent. Now, with the weight of multiversal responsibility on his shoulders, he had to consider broader implications. I understand your concerns, he told Valkyrian directly. And I respect your right to question my qualifications. But right now, the multiverse faces immediate threats that can't wait for us to settle this through combat. He gestured toward the dimensional model still hovering above the council chamber. These fractures are spreading. People are suffering. Worlds are dying. If you care about cosmic law and universal stability, help us address this crisis first. Challenge me after, if you still think I'm unworthy. Valkyrian studied him with intense scrutiny, her stellar eyes seeming to peer beyond his physical form to evaluate his essential nature. The council chamber remained absolutely silent, the ancient beings that composed it awaiting her response with collective breath held. You propose postponement rather than refusal, she observed finally. An appeal to my duty rather than my pride. Perhaps not entirely without wisdom. She sheathed her blade in a single fluid motion. Very well, I will observe your handling of this crisis before rendering final judgment. Relief washed visibly through the council. The Grand Minister nodded approvingly at Goku's diplomatic resolution. Then I formally invite you to join our investigation, Goku offered, extending a hand in the universal gesture of partnership. If you're going to judge my fitness as Emperor, you should see how I work up close. Valkyrian regarded his outstretched hand with momentary suspicion before clasping his forearm in a warrior's grip. Agreed. But understand this, Saiyan, I will be watching for any confirmation of my concerns. One significant misstep, one decision that threatens universal balance, and my challenge resumes immediately. Fair enough, Goku agreed, unfazed by her intensity. We're heading to Universe 2's central administrative dimension. Major temporal fracture forming there. You can see firsthand how we handle these situations. As the council meeting dissolved into organizational discussions, Chronoa drew Goku aside, her galaxy eyes reflecting concern. You realize what you've done? She asked quietly. Valkyrian is no ordinary warrior. The cosmic Valkyries were the original enforcers of universal law, their power rivals that of the Grand Minister himself. Good, Goku replied with unexpected seriousness. We need all the help we can get with these fractures. And if she's that strong, I'd rather have her working with us than against us. Chronoa studied him with new appreciation. You continue to surprise me, Goku. 6 months ago, you would have accepted her combat challenge without hesitation. Goku smiled ruefully. 6 months ago, I didn't have 12 universes depending on me making smart decisions. Besides, he added with a glimpse of his old competitive spirit, there'll be time for a good fight after we solve this crisis. Universe 2's central administrative dimension resembled a massive crystalline lotus flower, each petal containing a different aspect of universal governance. In the normal order of things, this realm hosted the Supreme Kai of Universe 2, their attendants, and various cosmic functionaries who maintained universal records and regulations. Now, as Goku, Chronoa, and Valkyrian materialized in the central chamber, they found chaos instead of order. The crystalline structures pulsed with unstable energy, their normally translucent surfaces displaying fractal cracks that leaked temporal distortion. Divine attendants rushed frantically between stations, attempting to contain cascading failures throughout the system. Supreme Kai Pell hurried forward to greet them, her normally composed demeanor shattered by obvious panic. Unlike the diminutive Supreme Kai of Universe 7, Pell stood tall and willowy, her lavender skin contrasting with elaborate golden robes that now hung in disarray. Emperor, she exclaimed, relief evident in her voice. Thank the divine hierarchies you've come. The temporal disruption accelerates beyond our capacity to contain it. Goku surveyed the situation with enhanced senses, perceiving layers of reality invisible to conventional vision. The fracture at the dimension's core resembled a wound in space-time itself, leaking chronometric energy in unstable bursts. When did it start? He asked, already moving toward the central distortion. Approximately 6 hours ago, By Universal Standard Time, Pell reported, struggling to maintain formal protocol despite her agitation. It began as Mino-R chronometric fluctuations in the record chamber, but rapidly expanded to affect the entire administrative dimension. We've evacuated non-essential personnel, but the dimensional anchors require constant maintenance. Chronoa moved in a blur of silver and opalescence, her hands weaving complex patterns that temporarily stabilized the most dangerous fluctuations. This fracture exhibits the same signature as the others. She called to Goku, but at significantly higher intensity. It's affecting fundamental dimensional parameters rather than merely local time flow. Valkyrian observed with critical attention. Her stellar eyes narrowed in concentration. The pattern suggests deliberate sabotage rather than natural failure, she noted. See how the fracture lines converge precisely at governance junctions. Someone with intimate knowledge of dimensional architecture planned this attack. Goku nodded, impressed by her immediate grasp of the situation. Exactly what we've been finding across multiple universes. But this is the most direct attack on a universal administrative center so far. He turned to Supreme Kai Pell. Have you noticed anyone suspicious accessing the dimension recently? Any unusual visitors or requests? Quote. Pell shook her head, golden earrings swinging with the motion. None, Emperor. Our security protocols have been heightened since the first anomalies appeared in outer regions. All visitors undergo thorough identity confirmation and purpose validation. Then they didn't come through normal channels, Goku concluded. He closed his eyes, extending his Emperor's perception beyond conventional boundaries. The ability, still new and sometimes overwhelming, allowed him to perceive temporal echoes imprinted on physical space. The chamber around him seemed to replay recent history in translucent layers, attendants moving backward and forward through time simultaneously, energy patterns flowing in reverse, conversations unfolding in dimensional echoes. Among these phantom images, something caught his attention, a shadow that moved contrary to the flow of time itself, leaving distortions in its wake like footprints in cosmic sand. There, he murmured, focusing on the anomalous pattern. Something was here 12 hours ago, moving against the temporal current. Not fully materialized in this dimension, but partially phased, enough to plant chronometric charges at key junctions. Chronoa appeared instantly at his side, her galaxy eyes following his indication. I see it, she confirmed, obvious concern in her voice. That's a temporal grafting technique. Highly sophisticated. Only a handful of beings possess such capability. Can you trace its origin point? Goku asked, already knowing the answer would be complex. Not directly, Chronoa admitted. The signature dissolves into quantum uncertainty when followed beyond this dimensional boundary. However, she added with determination, I might reconstruct its approach vector by analyzing the chronometric distortion patterns. While Chronoa began this complex process, Goku turned his attention to the central fracture, which continued to widen despite the Supreme Kai's containment efforts. Left unchecked, it would eventually destabilize the entire administrative dimension, potentially causing catastrophic cascade failures throughout Universe 2. We need to seal this breach, he stated firmly. Not just contain it, eliminate it completely. Valkyrian stepped forward, cosmic energy radiating from her armored form. Such seals require tremendous power correctly applied. What do you propose, Emperor? Her title carried the barest hint of skepticism. Instead of outlining a complex plan, Goku responded with characteristic directness. I'm going to push my energy into the fracture's core and force it closed. Both Valkyrian and Supreme Kai Pell stared at him with evident alarm. Emperor, Pell objected cautiously, dimensional fractures cannot be treated like physical wounds. They require precise chronometric recalibration across multiple reality layers. Crude force would likely accelerate the collapse, Valkyrian added, her tone suggesting she'd found confirmation of Goku's inadequacy. Goku smiled slightly. 6 months ago, I would have agreed with you. But I've learned a few things since becoming Emperor. He glanced toward Chronoa, who paused her analysis to observe him with quiet confidence. He understands more than he reveals, she told the others cryptically. Approaching the fracture's center, Goku closed his eyes and concentrated. The power he summoned wasn't the familiar key of his mortal days, nor even the divine energy of Ultra Instinct, but something more fundamental, the cosmic authority inherent to the Celestial Emperor, energy that existed at the foundation of reality itself. Golden white light emanated from his form, not radiating outward but flowing inward, becoming denser, more concentrated. The chamber's ambient light seemed to bend toward him, drawn by the gravity of his focus. When he opened his eyes, they contained not just power but understanding, precise comprehension of the fracture's multidimensional structure. The break isn't random, he explained, hands moving to trace the fracture's contours without touching them directly. It follows existing dimensional seams, the places where different aspects of reality were joined during universal formation. Our saboteur didn't create new weaknesses, they exploited existing ones. Valkyrian's expression registered surprise and reluctant reassessment. You perceive the universal architecture, she observed. Few beings outside the Celestial Council possess such perception. The Emperor's ascension grants certain insights, Chronoa noted with subtle pride in her student's progress. Without further discussion, Goku extended both hands into the fracture itself. Rather than being repelled by its chaotic energies, his arms appeared to phase partially out of conventional reality, becoming translucent as they interacted with the tear's fundamental structure. His face reflected intense concentration as he grasped something invisible to the others, the dimensional equivalent of edges that could be drawn together. This might get a little intense, he warned. You might want to establish some distance. Before anyone could respond, Goku's form blazed with concentrated cosmic authority. Unlike his old transformations, this wasn't a power-up for combat but a precise application of fundamental force. The energy didn't explode outward but imploded inward, creating a localized singularity that bent dimensional parameters around it. The fracture's edges began to draw together like fabric being sewn by invisible hands. Where they met, Goku's energy created new NDS, not temporary patches but fundamental reconnections of the universal architecture itself. Valkyrian watched with undisguised astonishment. He's reconfiguring dimensional constants, she murmured to Chronoa. Without formulaic calculation or ceremonial framework. How is this possible? Intuitive understanding, Chronoa replied simply. What the Council achieves through eons of study and rigid protocol, Goku sometimes accomplishes through direct perception and instinctive action. It's why Kairos chose him, this capacity to see through complexity to fundamental simplicity. As the final segments of the fracture sealed themselves under Goku's guidance, a shockwave of chronometric realignment pulsed through the administrative dimension. For a brief moment, everyone experienced multiple temporal states simultaneously, past, present, and possible futures overlapping in dizzying confusion before reality stabilized once more. When clarity returned, the fracture had vanished completely. More than merely closed, it appeared never to have existed, the dimensional architecture restored to perfect integrity. Goku lowered his arms, momentarily unsteady as he readjusted to conventional reality. Chronoa moved quickly to his side, supporting him with a slender but surprisingly strong arm. That, he admitted with a tired smile, took more out of me than I expected. Supreme Kai Pel approached cautiously, her expression a mixture of awe and profound gratitude. She knelt formally, head bowed in respect no longer tinged with uncertainty. Emperor, you have saved not merely this administrative dimension but potentially universe to itself. We are eternally in your debt. Goku looked distinctly uncomfortable with this display. Please stand up. I just did what needed doing, that's all. Valkyrian observed this exchange with thoughtful intensity. After Supreme Kai Pel had risen and moved to coordinate restoration efforts with her staff, the Valkyrie approached Goku directly. Quote, you sealed a Class 5-dimensional fracture through direct energy manipulation, she stated, her tone suggesting she was re-evaluating previous conclusions. Without formulaic support or council authorization, such action could have caused catastrophic reality destabilization if improperly executed. Yeah, but it didn't, Goku pointed out pragmatically. The fracture needed closing, and we didn't avenue time for committees or complicated rituals. You took a calculated risk, Valkyrian translated, studying him with new interest. Based on intuitive understanding of dimensional mechanics that should be beyond a being of your background. Goku shrugged. Fighting teaches you a lot about energy manipulation. The principles aren't that different, just the scale and what's at stake. Before Valkyrian could respond, Chronoa called urgently from across the chamber. Emperor, I've reconstructed the temporal grafting pattern. The saboteur's approach vector originated from Universe 2's 7th quadrant, specifically the Imperial Nexus. That's impossible, Valkyrian interrupted sharply. The Imperial Nexus has been sealed since the third cosmic reconfiguration. No being can access it without authorization from multiple Kais and at least one destroyer. Evidently, someone has, Chronoa countered, her galaxy eyes reflecting concern. And given the precision of these attacks, they possess intimate knowledge of dimensional architecture and administrative protocols. Goku's expression hardened with resolve. Then that's where we go next. The Imperial Nexus. Supreme Kai Pel, overhearing this declaration, hurried back to their group. Emperor, the Imperial Nexus is among the most dangerous locations in Universe 2. It was sealed precisely because it contains unstable connections to previous universal iterations. Previous universal iterations? Goku questioned, looking to Chronoa for explanation. Before the current 12 universes, she clarified, existence was structured differently. When cosmic reconfiguration occurs, usually due to fundamental instability or divine decree, the previous structure is supposed to dissolve completely. The Imperial Nexus is one of several locations where fragments remained. Dangerous fragments, Valkyrian added grimly. Conceptual residue, broken laws of physics, entities that should no longer exist but somehow persisted. He seals were established for compelling reasons. Goku considered this information thoughtfully. 6 months into his reign, he'd learned that rushing headlong into cosmic situations often created more problems than it solved. Yet the systematic attacks on dimensional stability clearly originated from somewhere, and the Imperial Nexus seemed the most likely source. We need to investigate, he decided finally. But carefully. Chronoa, can you establish temporal shielding to prevent whatever's in there from affecting us? I can create limited chronometric barriers, she confirmed, though IR effectiveness within the Nexus itself remains uncertain. That environment specifically distorts temporal constants. I will accompany you, Valkyrian declared unexpectedly. When both Goku and Chronoa turned to her with surprise, she continued. The cosmic Valkyries were created partly to contain dangers from previous universal cycles. My armor incorporates protective runes specifically designed to resist conceptual corruption. Though her tone remained formal, something in her posture had shifted subtly, less antagonistic, more professional. Goku recognized the change immediately. She was offering her specialized skills to address a genuine threat, personal judgment temporarily set aside in favor of cosmic duty. We'd appreciate your help, he accepted simply, extending his hand once more in the gesture of partnership. This time, Valkyrian clasped it without hesitation. To be absolutely clear, Emperor, this does not indicate I've withdrawn my challenge or altered my assessment of your suitability. It merely reflects the priority of addressing immediate threats to universal stability. Goku smiled, recognizing the face-saving clarification for what it was. Of course. Saving the multiverse first, determining who should run it after. Supreme Kai Pel stepped forward hesitantly. If you truly intend to enter the Imperial Nexus, Emperor, there are protocols that must be observed. The seals require specific deactivation sequences known only to the administrative hierarchy. Which you'll provide, Goku concluded. When Pel appeared momentarily conflicted, he added gently. Someone is already bypassing those seals to cause damage throughout your universe. Better we enter officially to stop them than leave the breaches unaddressed. The Supreme Kai nodded in reluctant acknowledgement. You speak wisdom, Emperor. I will provide the necessary sequences and prepare the approach coordinates. She bowed formally before departing to make arrangements. Once they were relatively private, Chronoa moved closer to Goku, her voice pitched for his ears alone. The Imperial Nexus is not merely dangerous in conventional terms. It contains concepts and entities that predate current universal physics. Even with your Emperor's authority, the environment itself may resist your presence. Meaning it could get weird, Goku translated with characteristic directness. A small smile curved Chronoa's lips. Extraordinarily weird, yes. Reality as you understand it becomes negotiable within the Nexus boundaries. Then we'll negotiate, Goku responded confidently. His gaze shifted to Valkyrian, who stood examining the chamber's restored dimensional anchors with professional interest. What do you make of our Valkyrie friend? Still think I'm completely unqualified? She's reassessing, Chronoa observed. Your handling of the fracture impressed her, though she'll never admit it directly. Valkyrian comes from a tradition that values demonstrated competence above formal qualification. That, I can understand, Goku agreed. His own martial arts journey had always valued practical skill over theoretical knowledge or ceremonial standing. She reminds me TTLE of Vegeta, all pride and protocol on the surface, but fundamentally pragmatic underneath. Chronoa studied him with those galaxy eyes that seemed to perceive more than mere physical reality. You've changed in these 6 months, Goku. Your approach has become more nuanced. Had to, he admitted with a rueful smile. Making everything a direct challenge or immediate fight doesn't work at this level. Took me a while to figure that out. Yet you remain essentially yourself, she noted with evident approval. That balance, adaptability without fundamental change, is remarkably rare among beings who ascend to cosmic positions. Something in her tone made Goku look at her more closely. Throughout their 6-month partnership, Chronoa had maintained professional formality in public while gradually relaxing into more casual interaction during their private moments. Today, however, he sensed something different in her manner, a personal warmth that transcended mere professional respect. Before he could explore this observation, Supreme Kai Pel returned with an ornate crystalline device that pulsed with internal light. The activation sequences for the Imperial Nexus seals, she explained, presenting it ceremonially. This chronometric key contains the necessary protocols and coordinates for authorized entry. However, she added gravely, I must formally advise against this course of action. The Nexus has remained sealed for 16 million years for profound reasons. Goku accepted the key with appropriate solemnity. I understand your concerns, Supreme Kai. But someone's already accessing the Nexus to attack dimensional stability throughout your universe. We need to address the source directly. Pel nodded in reluctant agreement. Then may the wisdom of all Kais guide your path, Emperor. The Imperial Nexus lies beyond conventional reality, a place where the fragments of previous existence still exert influence. Even divine beings find their nature challenged within its boundaries. We'll be careful, Goku promised, though careful had rarely been his defining characteristic. Chronoa took the chronometric key, examining its complex engravings with professional interest. These sequences are remarkably sophisticated, multiple redundant security layers combined with chronometric authentication. Breaking through this externally would require extraordinary capability. Or inside knowledge, Valkyrian suggested, rejoining their conversation. These protocols were established by the administrative hierarchy. Their compromise suggests someone with access to restricted cosmic information. Quote, the implication hung heavily between them, that their adversary might have connections within the divine governance structure itself. One problem at a time, Goku decided pragmatically. First, we investigate the Nexus and find whatever's hiding there. Then we worry about who might be helping them. As Supreme Kai Pel coordinated final preparations for their journey, Goku found himself standing slightly apart, contemplating the magnitude of what they faced. 6 months ago, he would have approached this mission with straightforward enthusiasm, a new challenge, a powerful opponent. A universe to save. Now, with the weight of Emperor's responsibility on his shoulders, he perceived layers of implication and potential consequence that would have escaped his notice before. Chronoa appeared silently beside him, her presence somehow both alien and comforting. Without conscious thought, Goku found himself standing closer to her than strictly necessary. Drawing subtle reassurance from her ancient stability. Having second thoughts, she asked quietly, misinterpreting his contemplative silence. No, he answered honestly. Just seeing more angles than I used to. More ways things could go wrong. More responsibility for making the right call. Her galaxy eyes studied him with that penetrating perception that seemed to reach his core. The burden of foresight, she named it simply. The awareness of consequence that comes with expanded perception. Yeah, he agreed, finding comfort in her understanding. Exactly that. It gets easier, she offered. Her voice gentler than he'd ever heard it. Not lighter. Never lighter, but more familiar. The weight becomes part of you rather than something external pressing down. Goku turned to fully face her, suddenly struck by the personal knowledge behind her words. You carry your own burden, don't you? Seeing all of time, all the possibilities, all the things that could go wrong. Summit. Hing flickered across Chronoa's opalescent features, surprise at being perceived so clearly, perhaps, a recognition of a shared understanding she hadn't expected. For a moment, the ancient, formal angel of time seemed almost vulnerable. Temporal omniscience has considerable weight, she acknowledged quietly. Perceiving infinite possibilities while maintaining the primary timeline's integrity requires constant vigilance. Sounds lonely, Goku observed with simple empathy. Chronoa blinked, those galaxy eyes momentarily wide with an emotion Goku couldn't quite name. Yes, it can be solitary. She hesitated before adding, these past 6 months have been different. Working directly with you instead of merely observing from temporal distance. Different good or different bad? Goku asked with characteristic directness. A smile curved her lips, not the formal, restrained expression she typically allowed herself in official capacity, but something more genuine. Different good, she confirmed softly. Unexpectedly so. Something shifted between them in that moment, a recognition of connection beyond their formal roles as emperor and advisor. Before either could explore this further, Valkyrian approached with purposeful strides. The Supreme Kai has completed preparations, she announced, either oblivious to or deliberately ignoring the moment she had interrupted. We can depart for the Imperial Nexus whenever you command, Emperor. Goku nodded, mentally shifting back to the mission at hand. Then let's go find out what's hiding in this sealed dimension. As they moved to join Supreme Kai Pel at the designated departure point, Valkyrian fell into step beside Goku, her stellar eyes studying him with renewed intensity. That fracture seal, she began, her tone carefully neutral. It demonstrated considerable skill, perhaps more than I initially credited you with possessing. From Valkyrian, Goku recognized, this constituted significant praise. Thanks, I'm learning as I go, but I've always been a quick study when it matters. Indeed, she acknowledged with formal precision. However, the Imperial Nexus will test more than mere skill or power. It challenges one's fundamental nature, particularly beings associated with the current universal structure. Meaning it might not like me being emperor. Goku translated. Valkyrian nodded, seeming why appreciative of his direct comprehension. Precisely. The Nexus contains fragments that fundamentally reject current cosmic hierarchy. Your emperor's authority may provoke resistance. Then I'll just have to be persuasive. Goku replied with a hint of his old confidence. One way or another. This response drew an unexpected reaction from the Valkyrie, a brief, sharp laugh quickly suppressed. Perhaps there is something to Kyrus's selection after all, she muttered, almost to herself. Though whether it proves wisdom or madness remains to be seen. They reached the departure point. Supreme Kai Pel waited beside an elaborate circular platform inscribed with symbols that shifted and reconfigured continuously. Chronoa had already begun initializing the chronometric key, its cry. Stalin structure now floating above her outstretched hands as she interfaced with its protocols. The Imperial Nexus exists partially outside conventional dimensionality, Pel explained as they positioned themselves on the platform. The transition requires precise chronometric alignment to breach the seals without destabilizing them completely. 3-phase authentication complete, Chronoa announced. Her galaxy eyes reflecting complex calculations. Temporospatial coordinates locked. Dimensional variance compensated. We are ready for transition, Emperor. Goku nodded. Cosmic energy ready gathering around him in preparation for whatever challenges awaited. Activate the transition. As Chronoa executed the final command sequence, reality itself seemed to fold inward around them. Unlike conventional teleportation or even dimensional shifting, this transition felt fundamentally different, as though they were moving not through space or between dimensions, but somehow orthogonal to reality itself. The last thing Goku perceived before transition completed was Valkyrian's expression, no longer merely critical or evaluating, but alive with the anticipation of facing a worthy challenge alongside capable allies. In that brief moment, he recognized a kindred spirit beneath her formal exterior, a warrior who, like himself, found purpose in confronting the impossible. Then why thing dissolved into multidimensional transit as they journeyed toward the Imperial Nexus and whatever ancient dangers awaited them there. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, The Cosmic Blueprint. The Univ. Ursal Architects Collective floated in the void between galaxies, a massive structure resembling a geometric mandala composed of interlocking crystalline spheres, each containing specialized environment. NTS for different universal design functions. From certain angles, it appeared two-dimensional, from others, it revealed impossible depths that stretched beyond conventional spatial parameters. Neither are fully in Universe 3 nor entirely separate from it. The collective existed at the precise boundary between conceptual and physical reality. Inside the central design sphere, a lone figure hovered before a multidimensional projection that displayed Universe 3's fundamental constants as living mathematical equations. Her form, not quite mechanical, not entirely biological, shimmered with internal GHT that pulsed in harmony with the equations she manipulated. Where most beings of Universe 3 had embraced cybernetic enhancement while maintaining humanoid appearance, Serafina had transcended such limitations entirely. Her body resembled liquid mercury shaped into feminine form, occasionally revealing glimpses of crystalline internal structures that processed cosmic calculations at speeds beyond comprehension. Probability variance exceeds acceptable parameters, she murmured, fingers dancing through holographic variables. Temporal degradation patterns show non-random distribution across 7 major nexus points. Data streams flowed through her mercury-silver form like blood through veins, occasionally manifesting as glowing symbols across her surface. Unlike most architects who required external interfaces, Serafina had evolved to become a living computational system, the universe itself her database, mathematical principles her native language. Architect Serafina, announced a mechanized voice. Your presence is requested at the Reality Maintenance Hub. Priority Alpha. Serafina didn't immediately respond, her consciousness still partially merged with the projection. After several seconds, she gradually retracted her awareness, the equations reluctantly releasing her like a lover unwilling to end an embrace. Specify reason, she demanded, her voice melodic despite its mechanical undertones. Multiple reality fractures detected in neighboring universes, the system reported. Pattern analysis indicates potential spread to Universe 3 within 72 chronometric units. The collective assembly has voted to send representation to the Multi-Universal Summit. You have been designated primary delegate. Irritation flickered across Serafina's mercury features. Social functions represented unwelcome interruptions to her work, particularly those involving beings from less technologically advanced universes who rarely understood her explanations. Illogical selection, she objected. My interpersonal communication metrics rank lowest among senior architects. Send Mechanus or Cyberian instead. Selection parameters prioritized computational modeling. Expertise over communication efficiency, the system countered. The fractures demonstrate mathematical properties requiring advanced analytical capabilities. Your models predicting dimensional stress patterns have proven 97.3% accurate. Quote, Serafina absorbed this information with reluctant acknowledgement. If the fractures indeed followed mathematical principles rather than chaotic deterioration, her expertise would be relevant. Still, the prospect of a political summit filled with emotional beings and their inefficient decision-making processes remained deeply unappealing. Attendance parameters, she inquired, already calculating preparation requirements. Multi-dimensional transit in 15 units. Summit location. Neutral Zone Alpha. Duration. Indeterminate. Participants will include representatives from all 12 universes, multiple destroyers, Supreme Kais, and, the system hesitated fractionally, the Celestial Emperor himself. Serafina's calculations momentarily faltered, causing ripples across her mercury surface. The Emperor, attending personally rather than through council representation. Affirmative. Emperor Son Goku has indicated direct interest in addressing the dimensional fractures. He will preside over the summit. This development significantly altered Serafina's calculations. The new emperor, elevated only 6 standard months prior, represented an unprecedented variable in cosmic governance. A mortal elevated directly to multiversal authority, bypassing millennia of conventional hierarchical progression. From a mathematical perspective, his selection defied optimization algorithms. From an efficiency standpoint, his lack of cosmic experience should have rendered him functionally inadequate. Yet preliminary data suggested otherwise. Rapport. TS indicated he had successfully stabilized 17 critical fractures across multiple universes, navigated complex council politics despite no diplomatic training, and even entered the sealed empire. Il Nexus without catastrophic consequences. Most intriguingly, he appeared to solve complex cosmic problems through intuitive processes rather than structured analysis, an approach Serafina found simultaneously fascinating and deeply unsettling. Prepare transit coordinates, she decided abruptly, and download all available data on Emperor Son Goku's methodological approaches to dimensional stabilization. I require comparative analysis between his results and standard procedural outcomes. As the system complied with her instructions, Serafina dissolved her current form, flowing like quick K-silver into a more structured configuration appropriate for formal presentation. Her liquid metal surface solidified into the semblance of formal attire, geometric patterns that represented her senior status among the architects while maintaining optimal functionality. Unlike beings constrained by conventional biology, Serafina's appearance represented conscious choice rather than genetic limitation. Transit coordinates established. Announced the system. Dimensional gateway initiating. Serafina moved toward the forming portal, her mind already processing billions of calculations regarding the fracture patterns. One particular correlation troubled her. The mathematical signature underlying the distortions contained familiar elements, reminiscent of ancient universal architecture principles predating the current cosmic cycle. This wasn't mere degradation. The equations suggested deliberate reconfiguration. As she entered the dimensional gateway, one thought dominated her analytical processes. If someone possessed both the knowledge and power to manipulate fundamental cosmic architecture, the consequences extended far beyond mere local instability. They threatened the mathematical integrity of existence itself. Neutral Zone Alpha had been specifically designed for diplomatic functions transcending individual universal jurisdictions. Unlike the grand formality of The Imperial Nexus or the crystalline perfection of Universe 7's sacred world of the Kais, this realm embraced functional adaptability. Its architecture constantly reconfigured to accommodate the specific biological, psychological, and metaphysical requirements of whatever beings currently occupied it. For today's summit, it had manifested as a massive circular chamber with 12 distinct environmental sectors radiating from a central platform. Each sector provided ideal conditions for representatives from its corresponding universe, from the mechanical precision preferred by Universe 3 delegates to the artistic flourishes that Universe 2 beings found conducive to productive discussion. Goku stood at the chamber's center, distinctly uncomfortable despite the setting's adaptive accommodations. 6 months as Celestial Emperor had improved his diplomatic capabilities considerably, but formal functions still felt like ill-fitting garments, technically functional but never quite natural. "You're fidgeting again," Chronoa observed quietly from her position at his right. Unlike Goku, the Angel of Time appeared perfectly at ease, her opalescent features composed in serene attention. "Can't help it," Goku muttered, subtly adjusting his imperial garments. Though they had been specifically designed to allow unrestricted movement, they still felt constraining compared to his preferred combat attire. 12 hours of formal talks ahead. Couldn't we just gather everyone who actually knows something useful and skip the politics? Politics is something useful, Chronoa reminded him gently. Particularly when coordinating responses across multiple universes with competing interests. Valkyrian, standing at Goku's left with perfect military posture, made a sound suspiciously like suppressed amusement. Since their expedition to the Imperial Nexus 2 weeks prior, the Cosmic Valkyrie had maintained her formal challenge to Goku's authority while gradually shifting into an oddly effective advisory role, her blunt tactical assessments complementing Chronoa's more diplomatic approach. "The Emperor dislikes excessive ceremony," Valkyrian observed, her stellar eyes scanning the herring delegates with professional assessment. "A preference I find myself unexpectedly sharing. Battle preparation requires half the time this summit will consume, with twice the effectiveness." "See." Goku gestured toward Valkyrian with vindication. "Even she agrees with me." A concerning development, Chronoa noted with the barest hint of dry humor. "When you and Valkyrian find common ground, the cosmic balance truly faces unprecedented disruption." Before Goku could respond, the Grand Minister appeared at the chamber's entrance, striking his staff once against the adaptable floor. "The Sound reverberated with perfect acoustic precision, immediately commanding attention from all present. Delegates of the 12 universes, he announced formally. Supreme Kais of creation, gods of destruction, cosmic functionaries and specialized representatives. The Summit of Universal Stability is now convened, presided over by Celestial Emperor Son Goku, with the Council of Cosmic Oversight in attendance. As designated representatives moved toward their assigned positions, Goku leaned closer to Konoha. I still don't understand why we need this meeting. We already know the fractures are deliberate attacks. We even traced their origin to the Imperial Nexus. Shouldn't we be focusing on that instead of talking? What we discovered in the Nexus raised more questions than it answered, Konoha reminded him quietly. The dimensional breach was genuine, but whoever created it covered their tracks with remarkable skill. We need information from all universes to establish the full pattern. Goku nodded reluctantly, acknowledging the logic while still preferring direct action. Their expedition into the Imperial Nexus had revealed troubling evidence of external manipulation, ancient seals systematically weakened. Dimensional barriers precisely compromised, but the perpetrator had disappeared long before their arrival, leaving behind sophisticated countermeasures that had nearly trapped them in conceptual loops. Without Valkyrian's specialized knowledge of pre-universal entities and Konoha's temporal navigation abilities, they might never have escaped. The experience had TRANS for Med Goku's understanding of what they faced. Not merely a powerful opponent, but a strategist with intimate knowledge of cosmic architecture and the patience to execute complex, long-term plans. His attention returned to the present as the last delegates settled into position. The assembly represented extraordinary cosmic diversity, Supreme Kais in their formal attire, gods of destruction maintaining carefully restrained power. Specialized functionaries from across the divine hierarchy, and selected mortal representatives whose unique capabilities had earned them places at this transcendent gathering. Emperor, the Grand Minister prompted quietly, indicating that formal proceedings awaited his initiation. Goku straightened, accessing the portion of his consciousness that had absorbed Kairos' understanding of protocol. While he preferred directness, he had learned that certain formalities served practical purposes in cosmic governance. I welcome you all to this summit of universal stability, he began. His voice carrying the subtle harmonic resonance of imperial authority. The multiverse faces coordinated attacks on its fundamental structure. Dimensional fractures have been detected across multiple universes, following patterns that suggest deliberate sabotage rather than natural deterioration. Murmurs passed through the assembly as delegates exchanged concerned glances. What Emperor Goku describes, we have witnessed directly, Valkyrian confirmed, stepping forward with formal precision. During our expedition to the Imperial Nexus, we discovered evidence of systematic attempts to weaken the boundaries between current universal structures and conceptual residue from previous cosmic cycles. Previous cycles? Questioned Quitella, the mouse-like god of destruction from Universe 4. That's just theoretical cosmology. No concrete evidence of universal existence prior to Zeno's current creation has ever been documented. Your ignorance does not constitute universal fact, replied a new voice, precise, melodic, with subtle mechanical undertones. All eyes turned toward the Universe 3 sector, where a figure composed of flowing silver metal had risen from her position. Architect Serafina, the Grand Minister acknowledged formally. The collective honors us with your presence. Serafina inclined her mercury head slightly, the movement causing pp less of light to cascade across her surface. The dimensional fractures demonstrate mathematical properties consistent with architectural principles predating current universal constants. Their distribution, follows non-random patterns optimized for progressive destabilization rather than immediate catastrophic failure. She gestured, causing the air above the central platform to shimmer and transform into a multidimensional model displaying all 12 universes as interconnected mathematical frameworks. Red pulsing nodes indicated confirmed fracture points, while yellow markers highlighted predicted future vulnerabilities. Observe the distribution pattern, she continued, her mercury fingers manipulating the projection to highlight specific intersections. These are not random targets of opportunity but precisely calculated weaknesses where dimensional boundaries intersect with temporal junction points. Each successful fracture increases stress on surrounding regions by exactly 17.3%. a remarkably specific value that suggests deliberate calibration. Goku studied the model with newfound appreciation. Since becoming emperor, he had developed an intuitive grasp of cosmic structure that allowed him to comprehend complex multiversal relationships without formal mathematical training. What Serafina displayed confirmed his growing suspicion. They faced an adversary with both intimate knowledge of cosmic architecture and the patience for a long, methodical campaign. "If I'm understanding this correctly," he said, addressing Serafina directly, "these attacks are designed to build on each other. Like placing cracks in a dam where the pressure will naturally make them worse over time." Something flickered across Serafina's Mercury features. Surprise, perhaps, at High's immediate comprehension of her complex model. "An imprecise but functionally adequate analogy," she acknowledged. "Each fracture serves as both immediate damage and future vulnerability amplifier. If the pattern continues unchecked, critical multiversal junctions will reach collapse thresholds within approximately 47 standard days." Collapse thresholds. Beerus, god of destruction from Universe 7, demanded irritably. "Speak plainly. What exactly happens when these thresholds are reached?" Serafina's Mercury surface rippled with what might have been annoyance at the interruption. "Universal boundary failure," she stated clinically. "Conceptual bleeding between dimensional layers. Potential retroactive ontological instability across all affected regions." When several delegates appeared confused by her terminology, Goku translated. "The walls between universes break down completely. Things that shouldn't exist in our reality start appearing. And parts of our existence might start disappearing as though they never were." Quote, "Acceptably simplified explanation," Serafina acknowledged with a slight nod toward Goku. "The question remains," interjected Champa, Universe 6 a corpulent destroyer god. "Who possesses both the knowledge and power to execute such precisely targeted attacks? Even gods of destruction focus on planetary or at most galactic destruction. This level of manipulation exceeds standard divine authority." "Not entirely accurate," Valkyrian countered, her stellar eyes narrowing. "Certain beings from previous universal cycles possessed precisely this capability. The Imperial Nexus contained unmistakable evidence of conceptual entities once believed permanently erased during cosmic reconfiguration." "Impossible," declared Supreme Kai Pel from Universe 2, her golden earrings chiming as she shook her head emphatically. "When Zeno established the current 12 universes, all previous existential frameworks were completely erased. Nothing survived the reconfiguration. Nothing was supposed to survive," Chronoa corrected quietly. Her galaxy eyes reflected ancient knowledge that predated most beings present. "But cosmic erasure, even by Zeno himself, occasionally leaves echoes. Fragments. Conceptual residue with sufficient coherence to eventually reconstitute limited awareness." The assembly fell silent as delegates processed this troubling information. The possibility that entities from previous universal cycles might actively seek to undermine current cosmic architecture represented a threat beyond conventional divine countermeasures. "If such entities truly exist," rumbled Belmont, the clown-like destroyer from Universe 11, "why would they target dimensional boundaries rather than directly attacking populated worlds? Surely, causing immediate destruction would be more efficient than this methodical weakening you describe." "Because they don't want destruction," Goku realized suddenly, the pattern becoming clear to his combat-trained mind. "They want replacement. They're not trying to destroy the multiverse, they're trying to revert it to its previous form." Serafina's Mercury surface rippled with evident interest. Quote, "A hypothesis consistent with the mathematical evidence," she acknowledged, studying Goku with new attention. "The fractures distribution optimizes for progressive reality reconfiguration rather than simple entropic increase." "And we walked right into their trap," Valkyrian added grimly. "By investigating the Imperial Nexus directly, we may have unintentionally accelerated their timetable." R.P. Recents, particularly the Emperor's cosmic signature, likely provided valuable data for refining their approach. Murmurs of alarm passed through the assembly at this assessment. Several delegates cast accusatory glances toward Goku, clearly questioning his decision to personally investigate the Nexus. "No," Chronoa interjected firmly, her opalescent features reflecting rare intensity. "The XPD. Tian revealed critical information we couldn't have obtained otherwise." Without understanding that we face coordinated attacks rather than natural deterioration, our response would have remained fragmented and reactive. The Angel of Time speaks truth. Serafina supported unexpectedly, her liquid metal form shifting slightly toward Chronoa. Optimal strategic response requires accurate threat assessment. The expedition's revelations outweigh potential information asymmetry disadvantages by approximately 3.4 to 1. Goku shot her a grateful glance, surprised by the support from someone he'd just met. The important thing now is coordinating our response. These fractures are appearing across all 12 universes, which means we need to work together to address them. Easier decreed than accomplished, observed Kai. The Stoic Supreme Kai from Universe 11. Universal administrations operate independently by design. Coordination across all 12 requires protocols that haven't been implemented since, he hesitated, well, ever. Then we create them, Goku stated simply. Right here, right now. The directness of this proposal elicited mixed reactions, from appreciative nods to skeptical frowns. Cosmic administrations had operated according to established protocols for millions of years, changing them on such short notice represented unprecedented disruption. The Emperor proposes sensible adaptation to extraordinary circumstances, Valkyrian supported, her formal tone carrying the weight of ancient authority. The Cosmic Valkyries once served as cross-universal respawn. Say units precisely because threats occasionally transcend individual administrative domains. The mathematical optimization supports unified response protocols, Serafina added, her mercury fingers rapidly manipulating invisible calculations. Coordinated countermeasures increase effectiveness by minimum factor of 2.7 compared to independent actions. Before further discussion could develop, a commotion erupted from the Universe 11 sector. Belmod, its destroyer god, had risen from his position and now glared furiously at Quitella from Universe 4. You dare suggest incompetence in my universal administration? Belmod demanded, clown-like features contorted with rage. Universe 11 maintains the highest stability rating in the cosmic ledger. Only because you destroy anything showing slightest deviation from your precious order, Quitella retorted, his rodent features twisted in a mocking grin. Your universe is stable because it's sterile, lacking the creative chaos that drives true evolution. Destroyer energy began to radiate from both gods, purple from Belmod, yellow from Quitella, creating dangerous pressure waves that distorted the summit chamber's adaptable architecture. Enough. The Grand Minister's voice cut through the rising tension, his staff striking the floor with authority that momentarily froze both destroyers in place. This summit operates under multiversal diplomatic protocols. Manifestation of destruction energy is expressly forbidden. Though the immediate energy display subsided, the antagonism between the two destroyers remained palpable. Goku recognized the dangerous impasse. Divine beings with volatile temperaments and opposing philosophies, neither willing to yield without losing face. 6 months ago, he might have attempted direct intervention, perhaps even suggesting a controlled combat tournament to resolve their differences. Now, with hard-earned diplomatic experience, he perceived a different approach. Belmod, Quitella. He addressed both destroyers directly. His tone neither confrontational nor placating but simply matter of fact. Your perspectives both have merit. Both gods turned toward him with surprise, clearly having expected rebuke rather than acknowledgement. Universe 11's stability protocols have prevented 17 potential fractures from fully forming, Goku continued, drawing on his Emperor's awareness of cosmic conditions. Universe 4's adaptive chaos has generated 6 unique countermeasures to dimensional intrusions that couldn't have developed in more structured systems. He gestured toward Serafina's still hovering multiversal model. The attack pattern specifically exploits both extremes, targeting rigidly structured systems through accumulated stress and chaotic systems through harmonic disruption. Neither philosophy alone provides complete protection. The two destroyers exchanged glances, their antagonism gradually yielding to reluctant professional interest. You suggest complementary approaches rather than philosophical alignment, Belmod observed, his initial anger cooling into analytical consideration. Precisely, Goku confirmed. We need Universe 11's structural stability, tie protocols to reinforce critical junction points. And we need Universe 4's adaptive unpredictability to prevent attackers from calculating precise outcomes. Quitella's whiskers twitched with what might have been grudging approval. Unexpected strategic insight from the new emperor. Indeed, Belmont agreed cautiously. Perhaps there is potential for productive collaboration. As the immediate crisis diffused, Goku caught Chronoa watching him with evident pride, and something deeper that made her galaxy eyes shine with unusual warmth. Beside her, Valkyrian maintained her formal military bearing, but her stellar eyes reflected newfound professional respect. Most surprising was Serafina's reaction. The mercurial architect studied him with obvious recalculation, her liquid metal features flowing through expressions that suggested she was rapidly revising previous assessments. The Emperor proposes functional synthesis rather than binary selection, she observed, addressing the assembly while her mercury gaze remained fixed on Goku. A statistically underutilized approach in cosmic governance, yet demonstrably effective when properly implemented. The summit gradually refocused on practical coordination measures, with representatives from all 12 universes contributing specialized knowledge regarding their region's vulnerabilities and strengths. Through Goku's continued GUI dance, alternating between direct intervention and subtle facilitation as circumstances required, the initially contentious gathering evolved into productive collaboration. By the session's midpoint, preliminary response protocols had been established. Specialized teams would monitor dimensional boundaries throughout all universes. Destroyers would coordinate their efforts to reinforce critical junction points. Supreme Kais would establish cross-universal communication channels for immediate alert transmission. During a brief recess, as delegates consulted with their respective administrative hierarchies, Goku found himself approached by Serafina. The mercurial architect moved with fluid grace that belied her partially mechanical nature, her silver form reflecting the chamber's ambient light in constantly shifting patterns. Your resolution of the destroyer conflict demonstrated unconventional problem-solving methodology, she stated without preamble, her melodic voice carrying subtle harmonic undertones. Statistically improbable for a being with your limited diplomatic experience. Goku smiled, recognizing the statement as her version of a compliment despite its clinical phrasing. Fighting teaches you a lot about how to handle strong personalities, he explained. Belmont and Quitella aren't that different from opponents I've faced in tournaments, skilled, proud, and needy. In acknowledgement of their strengths before they can work together. Serafina's mercury features shifted in what might have been surprise. You processed complex psychological dynamics through intuitive pattern recognition rather than formal analytical frameworks. I guess that's one way to put it, Goku acknowledged with a slight shrug. I just try to understand what people really want beneath what they're saying. Fascinating, Serafina murmured, her liquid metal form rippling with evident interest. Your cognitive architecture appears optimized for intuitive leaps that bypass conventional sequential processing. Highly inefficient for standardized problem solving, yet remarkably effective for novel scenarios lacking established precedent. Despite her technical terminology, Goku recognized genuine curiosity rather than condescension. That's kind of how I've always approached fighting, he explained. Understanding the patterns but then finding the unexpected move that breaks through them. Serafina considered this perspective, her mercury surface reflecting rapid internal calculations. A valid strategic paradigm, though fundamentally opposed to the architect's methodological approach. We seek mathematical perfection through comprehensive analysis. You appear to achieve comparable results through what might be termed elegant improvisation. The universal architects, Goku inquired. Genuinely interested, what exactly do you do? I mean, beyond the title. We maintain the mathematical integrity of Universe 3's cosmic architecture, Serafina explained, warming to a subject clearly close to her core functions. All reality ultimately derives from mathematical principles, the universal constants, dimensional parameters, fundamental forces. These require continuous monitoring and occasional adjustment to prevent entropic degradation. You can actually change how a universe works? Goku asked, impressed despite his limited mathematical understanding. Within strictly defined parameters, Serafina clarified, major adjustments require authorization from multiple cosmic hierarchies. But subtle optimizations fall within our jurisdiction, improving efficiency coefficients, resolving harmonic disruptions, stabilizing dimensional boundaries. Her mercury features shifted into what Goku interpreted as intensity, perhaps passion for her specialized domain. The true elegance lies in the underlying patterns, she continued, forgetting her usual clinical detachment. When properly perceived, the multiverse reveals itself as a grand mathematical symphony, infinite variations emerging from fundamental principles combined in breathtaking complexity. Goku nodded thoughtfully. Like martial arts styles, each unique, but all based on the same basic truths about energy and movement. Serafina paused, her calculations momentarily suspended. An unexpectedly apt analogy, she acknowledged. Perhaps our methodologies, while superficially divergent, share fundamental philosophical alignment. Before their conversation could continue, Chronoa appeared beside them, her movement so fluid it suggested she had manipulated time itself to cross the chamber instantaneously. Emperor, she addressed Goku formally, though her galaxy eyes held the warmth he'd grown accustomed to during their months working together. The Grand Minister requests your presence. The second session will begin shortly. Architect Serafina, she acknowledged the mercurial being with a respectful inclination of her head. The Angel of Time, Serafina returned with equivalent formality, though Goku noticed subtle tension in her liquid metal posture. As they moved toward the central platform, Chronoa spoke quietly to Goku. The architect appears to find you interesting. Unusual, given her notorious disdain for beings she considers mathematically imprecise. We were just talking about different ways to solve problems, Goku explained, oblivious to any undercurrents. She sees everything through math, but she understood when I compared it to martial arts. Indeed, Chronoa murmured, her tone carrying something Goku couldn't quite identify. Serafina rarely engages in extended conversation with anyone outside the Architects Collective. Your ability to establish rapport across diverse cosmic perspectives remains remarkable. Before Goku could respond, Valkyrian intercepted them, her armored form radiating subdued urgency. Emperor, new information has emerged during the recess. Universe 10's administrative dimension reports unusual energy signatures matching those we encountered in the Imperial Nexus. Goku's expression immediately sharpened with focus. Active signatures, not just aftermath like we found before. Correct, Valkyrian confirmed grimly. Ongoing dimensional manipulation consistent with attempted boundary dissolution. Their Supreme Kai requests immediate intervention. Chronoa's galaxy eyes narrowed with concern. Verse 10 contains several ancient sealed repositories, conceptual vaults established during early formation phases to contain unstable prototype elements. Then we need to go there directly after this session. Goku decided without hesitation. If someone's trying to break into these repositories while everyone's distracted with the summit. Precisely my assessment, Valkyrian agreed, her stellar eyes reflecting tactical approval. The summit may represent misdirection, drawing cosmic authorities into extended deliberation while the actual objective is pursued elsewhere. A statistically viable hypothesis, added Serafina, who had approached unnoticed, her mercury form flowing with unusual urgency. The fracture pattern optimization suggests 89.3% probability of diversionary tactical intent. Goku glanced between the three powerful females now surrounding him, the ancient angel of time with her galaxy eyes reflecting concern, the warrior Valkyrie with her stellar gaze burning with tactical assessment, and the mercurial architect with her liquid metal surface rippling with rapid calculations. 6 months ago, he would have simply teleported instantly to the threatened location. Now, with Emperor's responsibilities weighing on him, he recognized the need for strategic coordination. Chronoa, notify the Grand Minister that I'll need to depart immediately after this session concludes, he instructed. His casual demeanor replaced by focused authority. Valkyrian, prepare tactical assessment of Universe 10's dimensional vulnerabilities based on what we learned in the Imperial Nexus. Both nodded in immediate acknowledgement, their respective expertise perfectly complementing his strategic direction. Architect Serafina, he continued, turning to the mercurial being, would you be willing to accompany us? Your mathematical insight might help us understand what they're targeting and how to counter it. Serafina's mercury features shifted through rapid calculations, internal algorithms weighing priorities and probabilities. Affirmative, she decided finally. The collective's primary objectives align with preventing unauthorized dimensional manipulation. My SP, ECI Elized capabilities may prove functionally beneficial to your intervention team. Thank you, Goku replied simply, genuine appreciation in his voice. Having you with us could make a crucial difference. Something flickered across Serafina's liquid metal features, surprise, perhaps, at being addressed with personal gratitude rather than merely formal acknowledgement of her functional utility. As the Grand Minister signaled for delegates to resume their positions, Goku returned to the central platform with renewed purpose. The summit's diplomatic maneuvering suddenly felt less frustrating. Now understood as one component of a larger strategic response rather than an end in itself. Throughout the second session, as representatives finalized coordination protocols, Goku maintained outward focus while internally preparing for direct intervention. Occasionally his gaze would drift between his three extraordinary companions, each representing different aspects of cosmic authority, each bringing unique capabilities to the challenges ahead. Chronoa caught his wandering attention once, her galaxy eyes meeting his with quiet understanding. Despite her formal exterior, their 6 months working closely together had created a connection that transcended conventional relationships. She understood his restlessness, his preference for direct action over diplomatic maneuvering, because he had witnessed his growth from impulsive warrior to thoughtful emperor. Valkyrian, observing this exchange from her position beside the central platform, maintained impassive military bearing while internally reassessing her initial judgments. The Saiyan-turned emperor continued to defy her expectations, demonstrating tactical insight, diplomatic skill, and strategic flexibility that belied his supposedly limited cosmic experience. Her formal challenge remained technically active, but increasingly functioned as professional framework rather than genuine opposition. Serafina, meanwhile, processed the unfolding summit through multiple analytical layers simultaneously. Her primary algorithms evaluated the diplomatic proceedings and upcoming intervention mission with mathematical precision. Yet subsidiary processes found themselves increasingly occupied with the anomaly that was Emperor Son Goku, a being whose cognitive architecture defied conventional classification yet consistently narrated outcomes that her most sophisticated models struggled to predict. As the summit finally concluded with formal declarations of unified purpose, Goku rose from his central position with barely concealed relief. "Thank you all for your commitment to addressing this threat together," he stated, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance of imperial authority despite its casual tone. "The coordination protocols established today will help protect all our universes during this crisis." The Grand Minister struck his staff once against the adaptable floor, signaling formal conclusion. The MMIT of universal stability is hereby adjourned. May the wisdom of all cosmic hierarchies guide our collective response. As delegates began dispersing to their respective universal domains, Goku moved quickly toward his intervention team. "How soon can we reach Universe 10? He asked, battle readiness evident in his posture despite imperial garments. "Immediately, if utilizing my temporal shifting capabilities," Chronoa replied, her silver hair flowing with subtle energy activation. Though dimensional transit through conventional channels would require approximately 17 standard units. "My armor incorporates emergency transit capabilities," Valkyrian added, her stellar eyes already focused on the tactical horizon. "Designed specifically for cross-universal crisis response. He architects maintain dedicated channels to all universal administrative centers," Serafina contributed, her Mercury form reconfiguring into more streamlined functionality. "Mathematically optimized for minimal transit distortion." Goku nodded, quickly processing these options against mission requirements. Chronoa's temporal shifting gives us the best combination of speed and precision. "We'll appear directly at the disturbance location without advance warning." The three females exchanged glances, Chronoa's quietly pleased, Valkyrian's professionally approving, Serafina's analytically reassessing. "A tactically sound decision," Valkyrian acknowledged, her hand moving to rest on her neutron star sword's hilt. "Surprise remains our most significant advantage against an opponent who has demonstrated sophisticated strategic foresight. Before departure, I recommend temporal masking protocols," Chronoa suggested, her galaxy eyes reflecting ancient caution. "If our adversary possesses the capability to manipulate dimensional boundaries, they may have limited chronometric perception as well." "Logical precaution," Serafina agreed, her Mercury surface flowing with rapid calculations. "I can generate mathematical interference patterns to obscure our quantum signatures during transit." "Effectiveness probability," 78.6% against standard temporal detection methods. Goku nodded, appreciating their specialized expertise while maintaining strategic focus. Do it. We need every advantage we can get. As Chronoa began establishing the temporal transit field and Serafina generate D-complex mathematical camouflage patterns, Goku closed his eyes briefly, extending his Emperor's perception across the multiverse toward Universe 10. The sensation, still occasionally disorienting despite 6 months' practice, revealed disturbing patterns in the universal fabric. Where cosmic architecture should have displayed harmonious integration, jagged disruptions pulsed with unnatural energy. They're definitely targeting something specific, he observed, opening his eyes with renewed determination. The pattern looks deliberate, like they're trying to extract something rather than simply causing damage. Universe 10's conceptual repositories, Chronoa confirmed grimly, established during early formation phases to contain unstable prototypical elements deemed too dangerous for conventional reality. Dangerous how? Goku asked, immediately focusing on tactical implications. Ontologically unpredictable, Serafina explained, her Mercury features reflecting complex calculations. Early universal formation involved experimental conceptual frameworks, prototype laws of physics, alternative dimensional constants, abandoned causal mechanisms. Elements deemed incompatible with S-table existence were sequestered in specialized repositories. Breaking into these repositories would release uncontained conceptual instability into current universal architecture, Valkyrian translated. Her stellar eyes narrowing with tactical concern, essentially introducing incompatible reality parameters into established cosmic frameworks. Like trying to run 2 different operating systems on the same computer. Goku suggested, drawing on knowledge absorbed from Kyrus's transferred memories. Except instead of just crashing, it rewrites how reality works. An imprecise but functionally adequate analogy. Serafina acknowledged, something like approval flickering across her Mercury features. The resulting conceptual conflict would propagate through dimensional boundaries, potentially initiating cascade failures throughout multiple universal sectors. Transit field stabilized, Chronoa announced, her opalescent hands completing complex chronometric manipulations. Mathematical camouflage integrated. We can depart immediately, Emperor. Goku nodded, his expression reflecting the focused determination that had characterized his approach to combat throughout his existe. NCE, from mortal warrior to cosmic sovereign. Then let's go. Universe 10's repositories need protecting, and I want answers about who's behind these attacks. The 4 extraordinary beings moved Toge there into Chronoa's temporal field, the celestial emperor with his cosmic authority, the angel of time with her chronometric mastery, the cosmic Valkyrie with her ancient warrior heritage, and the universal architect with her mathematical perception. As the field activated, reality itself seemed to fold around them, dimensions shifting orthogonally as they transitioned between universal domains. One noticed the hooded figure observing from dimensional shadows, a presence that had lingered undetected throughout the summit, recording every detail of their plans and capabilities. 4 against 1, the figure murmured to itself. Voice neither male nor female but something beyond conventional classification. Impressive combination of capabilities. The Emperor chooses his allies well. A cold smile formed beneath the hood. But the repositories have already served their purpose. By the time they arrive, the conceptual framework will be extracted. And the real work can finally begin. He figure dissolved into dimensional static, leaving no trace for even the most sophisticated detection methods to discover. Throughout the multiverse, previously dormant fracture points simultaneously activated. Their timing precisely calibrated to create maximum distraction while the true objective unfolded in Universe 10. The cosmic game continued to unfold according to a plan millions of years in the making, a plan that had accounted for even the unexpected variable of a Saiyan Emperor with extraordinary intuition and equally extraordinary allies. Universe 10's conceptual repository. Alpha resembled a massive geometric structure composed of interlocking dodecahedrons, each facet inscribed with mathematical formulas that defined its containment parameters. Unlike conventional structures, it existed partially outside standard dimensional constraints, simultaneously physical and conceptual, created specifically to house elements that defied normal universal laws. By the time Goku and his companions materialized at its primary access junction. Chaos had already erupted. Massive fractures ran through the repository's geometric surfaces, leaking prismatic energy that distorted surrounding reality. Portions of the structure appeared to exist in multiple states simultaneously, solid and liquid, present and absent, stable and dissolving. "We're too late," Valkyrian stated grimly, her stellar eyes narrowing as she assessed the deteriorating situation. "The containment architecture has been compromised at multiple junction points. Severe mathematical disruption detected," Serafina confirmed, her mercury form rippling with rapid calculations. "Conceptual boundaries failing at exponential rates. Complete structural collapse imminent within approximately 73 standard units." Chronoa moved forward, her opalescent hands weaving complex chronometric patterns that temporarily stabilized the most dangerous fluctuations. "I can slow the degradation, but complete reversal exceeds even temporal manipulation capabilities. Whatever they extracted has fundamentally destabilized the repository's dimensional anchors." Goku extended his Emperor's perception, scanning the Tick environment for any trace of their opponent. "They're already gone," he concluded with frustration, "but recently. Within the last few minutes." His eyes narrowed with sudden focus. "And they left something behind." Without waiting for his companions, Goku moved toward the repository's central chamber, a dodecahedral core where the most dangerous conceptual elements would have been stored. Despite the structure's chaotic deterioration, he navigated with unerring precision, instinctively avoiding areas of most severe dimensional instability. The others followed quickly, each contributing specialized protection against the environment's dangers. Chronoa creating temporal buffers against chronometric distortion, Valkyrian's armor generating protective fields against conceptual corruption. Serafina projecting mathematical stability patterns that temporarily reinforced failing dimensional parameters. What they found in the central chamber confirmed their worst fears. The primary containment matrix, a complex crystalline structure designed to house prototype universal constants, had been precisely dismantled. Where it should have contained swirling conceptual energy, only emptiness remained. "They extracted the Alpha framework," Chronoa whispered, her galaxy eyes wide with genuine shock. "The prototype causal mechanism from the earliest formation phase." "Explain implications," Valkyrian demanded tersely, her warrior's mind immediately focusing on strategic assessment. Serafina's mercury form flowed with agitated calculations. "The Alpha framework contained experimental causal mechanisms rejected during universal stabilization procedures. Essentially, alternative rules governing how cause and effect operate across dimensional boundaries." "In practical terms," Goku pressed, sensing the gravity of their discovery. "In practical terms, whoever possesses it could potentially establish localized reality domains operating under alternative causal principles," Chronoa explained, her ancient voice uncharacteristically tense. "Actions could precede causes. Effects could exist without originating events. Temporal linearity could be selectively enforced or suspended. A weapon of unprecedented strategic advantage," Valkyrian translated grimly, "allowing its wielder to operate outside conventional universal laws while imposing those same constraints on opponents." "But that's not all they left behind," Goku noted, pointing toward a crystalline object placed deliberately at the empty containment matrix's center. The object, resembling a geometric solid set of materials that shifted between states with each passing moment, pulsed with internal light that formed recognizable patterns. Not random flashes, but deliberate communication. "It's a message," Goku realized, "left specifically for us to find." Serafina moved closer, her mercury fingers extending cautiously toward the crystalline communication device. Sophisticated quantum entanglement mechanism, designed to activate upon detection of specific energy signatures. Her liquid metal features shifted with sudden understanding. "It was waiting for you, Emperor. Calibrated specifically to your cosmic frequency." "A trap?" Valkyrian questioned sharply, her neutron star sword partially drawn. "Negative," Serafina replied after careful analysis. "Communication function only. No destructive capabilities detected." She paused, mercury surface rippling with calculation. "Though activation may alert its creator to our presence. Let it," Goku decided firmly. "I want whoever's behind this to know we're following their trail. Maybe they'll get overconfident and make a mistake." Chronoa nodded in agreement, though her galaxy eyes reflected concern. A calculated risk, but potentially worthwhile. We need information more than concealment at this stage. With silent consensus reached, Goku extended his hand toward the crystalline device, allowing his cosmic energy to interface with its activation mechanism. The object immediately responded, its shifting materials stabilizing into a specific configuration as internal light coalesced into a holographic projection. The image T-hat formed above the device showed no clear figure, only a swirling darkness that occasionally suggested humanoid shape without committing to definite form. When it spoke, the voice similarly existed the boundary between identifiable and ambiguous, neither clearly male nor female, neither obviously young nor old. Celestial Emperor, the darkness addressed Goku directly. How disappointing to miss you by mere minutes. Your temporal masking was impressively executed, though ultimately insufficient against one who exists partially outside conventional chronology. The formless entity seemed to shift its attention toward Goku's companions. The Angel of Time, the last Valkyrie, and an architect. Fascinating combination of capabilities. You choose your allies well, Emperor. Who are you? Goku demanded directly. What do you want with the Alpha framework? A sound that might have been laughter rippled through the projection. Direct questions from a direct being. Refreshingly straightforward compared to your predecessor's elaborate philosophical circumlocutions. The darkness swirled more deliberately, suggesting contemplative movement. As for who I am, I have been called many things across multiple universal cycles. Perhaps, null, serves as well as any other designation. What I want is simple: correction of a fundamental cosmic error. The current universal configuration, Chronoa intuited, her galaxy eyes narrowing with ancient recognition. You're from before Zeno's reconfiguration, before being casually erased for a child god's convenience, Null confirmed. Bitterness evident despite the voice's ambiguity. Before countless civilizations, entire cosmic hierarchies, and fundamental conceptual frameworks were simply replaced with current inadequate iterations. Valkyrian stepped forward, stellar eyes blazing with righteous fury. The cosmic reconfiguration was necessitated by fundamental instability in previous universal architecture. The Prio-R configuration was collapsing under its own ontological contradictions. Propaganda, Null dismissed contemptuously. Justification narratives created after the fact to rationalize cosmic genocide. The previous configuration wasn't unstable, merely complex beyond Zeno's limited comprehension. So he replaced it with something simpler, more manageable. The darkness swirled more aggressively, suggesting increasing emotional intensity. Imagine, Emperor, entire civilizations more advanced than anything in your current 12 universes. Cosmic hierarchies that made your council look like squabbling children. Divine beings who understood creation as art rather than mere maintenance. All erased because an omnipotent child found them too complicated to understand. Despite his wariness, Goku found himself troubled by these accusations. Since becoming emperor, he had occasionally encountered references to previous universal cycles, always described as fundamentally flawed predecessors to the current, perfect, configuration. But history, he had learned, was often written by victors to justify their actions. Even if what you say is true, he replied carefully, destabilizing the curry. NT multiverse won't bring back what was lost. You're causing suffering to beings who had nothing to do with what happened before. Perceptive observation, Null acknowledged, the darkness briefly RMING what might have been an approving nod. But incomplete understanding. I don't seek mere destruction or revenge. I seek restoration, reconstruction. The Alpha framework is merely one component in a process designed to selectively reintegrate elements from previous universal architecture without causing complete cosmic collapse. Serafina's Mercury's surface rippled with evident skepticism. Mathematical impossibility, she stated flatly. Concurrent implementation of contradictory universal constants would initiate immediate reality rejection cascades. Complete multiversal failure would result within approximately 47 standard units. Your calculations assume linear temporal progression and exclusive dimensional occupation, Null countered dismissively. Both limitations can be circuvented through proper application of the Alpha framework combined with specific chronometric manipulation techniques. The projection shifted, darkness coalescing into what resembled a mathematical Equation of extraordinary complexity, one that even Serafina's advanced computational capabilities struggled to fully process. Theoretical possibility, she admitted reluctantly after several moments of intense calculation. Though implementation would require precise manipulation of fundamental cosmic parameters simultaneously across multiple dimensional boundaries. Precisely what I've spent millions of years preparing to accomplish, Null confirmed, darkness reconfiguring into its previous ambiguous state. The dimensional fractures you've been so diligently investigating. Necessary calibration points for the eventual integration process. Goku's eyes narrowed as he processed these revelations. So you're not trying to destroy the multiverse. You're trying to merge it with what came before. Elegant simplification. Null approved. Not complete merger. That indeed would cause catastrophic collapse, but selective integration of compatible elements. The best of what was erased. Harmonized with the best of what currently exists. With yourself as architect of this new cosmic configuration, Chronoa observed, her ancient voice carrying unmistakable suspicion. Conveniently positioned to determine which elements survive and which are discarded. The darkness swirled in what might have been acknowledgement. Someone must guide the process. Who better than one who has experienced both universal cycles? Who understands the strengths and limitations of each cosmic architecture? And if current universal inhabitants don't want this integration? Valkyrian demanded bluntly, her warrior's perspective cutting through philosophical justifications to practical consequences. Change is rarely embraced by those comfortable with existing conditions, Null replied with philosophical detachment. But the multiverse doesn't exist solely for current inhabitants. Past, present, future, all have equal claim to cosmic expression. The projection began to flicker, its connection weakening. We will meet soon enough, Emperor. Perhaps then we can discuss cosmic justice more directly. Until that moment, consider carefully whether blind defense of the status quo truly serves your concept of universal balance. As the holographic image faded completely, the crystalline device collapsed into component particles that dissolved into dimensional static. For several moments, the four powerful beings stood in silence, processing the troubling implications of what they had witnessed. A skillful manipulator, Valkyrian assessed finally, her stellar eyes narrowed with tactical evaluation. Presenting cosmic destruction as principled restoration to justify actions that threaten all current existence. Yet not entirely without legitimate grievance, Chronoa noted quietly, her galaxy eyes reflecting ancient perspective. The cosmic reconfiguration did erase entire civilizations and cosmic hierarchies. Those few entities who somehow survived that erasure would understandably seek restoration of what was lost. Regardless of philosophical justification, the mathematical consequences remain catastrophic, Serafina stated, her mercury form flowing with continued calculations. Even assuming theoretical viability of selective integration, practical implementation would necessarily create dimensional instability exceeding survivable parameters for 97.8% of current universal inhabitants. Goku absorbed these assessments while extending his Emperor's perception to evaluate the deteriorating repository around them. The structure continued to degrade rapidly, conceptual energies leaking into conventional reality with increasing intensity. We need to evacuate and establish containment boundaries, he decided, imperial authority evident beneath his casual demeanor. Chronoa, can you stabilize the immediate area long enough for Universe 10's administrative hierarchy to establish permanent containment? Temporarily, she confirmed, her opalescent hands already weaving complex chronometric patterns that slowed the repository's deterioration. Perhaps 12 standard hours, sufficient for evacuation and preliminary containment measures. Valkyrian, coordinate with Universe 10's destroyer. They'll need precise application of destruction energy to neutralize the most unstable elements before they spread beyond this dimensional sector. The Valkyrie nodded sharply, professional respect evident in her immediate acceptance of his tactical direction. Understood, Emperor. Rumush's destruction capabilities can be properly channeled through specialized containment protocols. Serafina, can your mathematical models predict where Null might strike next? Now that we know they're specifically targeting conceptual repositories containing elements from previous universal cycles. The mercurial architect's surface rippled with rapid calculations. Affirmative. Cross-referencing known repository locations against established fracture patterns GE. Narrates statistical probability map of future targets. Highest likelihood. Universe 7's conceptual repository Delta, Universe 2's Empyrean archive, and Universe 3's prototype vault. Goku nodded decisively. Then we establish defenses at all three immediately. Whatever Null is planning with the Alpha framework, they clearly need additional components to complete their integration process. As High's companions moved to execute their assigned tasks, Goku remained momentarily still, processing the broader implications of their discovery. For the first time since becoming Emperor, he faced not merely a threat to universal stability but a fundamental philosophical challenge to the entire cosmic order he had sworn to protect. If Null spoke truth, if the current multiverse had indeed been estably shed through erasure of equally valid previous existence, did that change the moral calculus of their opposition? Was defending the status quo truly the same as defending cosmic justice? Chronoa appeared silently beside him, her galaxy eyes reflecting understanding of his internal conflict. You're troubled by Null's claims, she observed quietly. Wouldn't you be? Goku responded honestly. If they're telling the truth, then the multiverse I'm supposed to protect was created by destroying countless lives from before. How is that different from what Zeno nearly did during the Tournament of Power? The difference, Chronoa replied gently, lies in present reality versus hypothetical restoration. Whatever injustice may have occurred in creating the current multiverse, the fact remains trillions of beings now exist within it, beings whose lives have value, whose existence matters. Goku nodded slowly, finding clarity in her perspective. You're right, even if the multiverse began unfairly, that doesn't justify endangering everyone who exists now. We protect what is, not what might have been. A wisdom worthy of the Celestial Emperor, Chronoa affirmed, unexpected warmth in her ancient voice. Balance isn't achieved by erasing past injustice through creating new victims, it comes through moving forward with greater understanding. Their eyes met, his reflecting newfound resolution, hers containing galaxies of approval and something deeper that transcended their formal relationship. The moment lingered briefly before responsibility reclaimed their attention. With renewed purpose, Goku extended his Emperor's perception across the multiverse, coordinating defensive preparations against an adversary whose motivations he now understood, even if he couldn't accept their methods. The cosmic game had entered a new phase. No longer merely preventing destruction, but navigating complex questions of cosmic justice while protecting the trillions of beings who depended on the multiverse remaining stable. As Emperor, Goku would face this challenge as he had all others throughout his existence, with determination, adaptability, and unwavering commitment to protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Even if that meant opposing a being with legitimate grievance against the cosmic order itself. Chapter 3 End. The End. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.